Howdy, folks. Welcome to Adventures in Alberon, Courts of Everest. I'm Joe Treff, your DM this evening and most, and joining me are my friends, Matt, Vincent, Tina, Kara, Hannah, and Alana. For some reason, Kara really threw me off this week. But
Just like that.
Just like that. Kara has a person, that is a name. But we're going to play D&D tonight. Before we do, I'm kidding. Before we do, a couple of quick announcements. First of all, we have a YouTube, an Instagram, a Threads, a Blue Sky at Alberon RPG. You can see pictures and details of the different things that we have available to us right on our table. Here's a close-up of our table. You can see a reference sheet, I think, for Starfinder.
Nope.
That's
Fallout.
It's Fallout.
For Fallout.
That's for
We have miniatures, we have encounter maps, we have handouts, we have all kinds of things. You can see it in greater detail in all those social medias at Alberon RPG. There are a ton of different one-shots, all of our old sessions. What are you laughing at?
I'm so sorry. The cursor, the hand is over Vincent's face. and he's like trying to lean around.
I was wondering what that was.
I'm so sorry.
I thought you were being nice. I thought you were high-fiving Talon. Hello, Talon. Welcome. But no, you're high-fiving
That's Talon's
yourself.
hands, then yes, I am.
There you go. Welcome to the stream, Talon. The hand of Talon over Vincent's face. You can move it if it's going to be distracting to you. But
Still look at it.
yeah, easy to say, easy to do. YouTube, we have a ton of different sessions from our first campaign, from this campaign, from our Mosaic Team 5 Starfinder campaign, which is Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There are one-shots, there are multi-part adventures all over on YouTube. There is also an announcement video, which has all the different things that are going to be happening on this channel for 2025, minus 2 things that I have come up with in the past week that are also being added to that calendar at some point in the very near future, but many of the announcements over on YouTube. There is going to be Wheel of the Year in bulk. That is going to be February 1st, right here on Twitch, a week from tomorrow. That is going to be at noon right here on Twitch. Right here at noon in 2 days is going to be Fallout, Blackhearted, Texas, Session 2. It is an original Starfinder. It is an original Fallout adventure that we have written and are playing. The group in the first session managed to survive an attack by some bloodsuckers, and also, much more impressively, survive Matt. And,
No, Bob.
It was close.
Bob,
It was Bob, and it was my dice, okay?
By Matt. And we'll all get to make it to session 2, where they make their way through an irradiated tunnel to the NCR outpost beyond, en route to Austin. That is on Sunday right here at noon. You can join many of us at this table. Also joining us from our Starfinder crew is Olive. And then... yeah, with the little hands. And then we are going to be playing a whole bunch of cool things that you can see right here on at Alberon RPG on Twitch. And thank you for joining us for this little adventure. That's all the announcements that I have for this week. And so it's time for this week's session of Courts of Everest. All right, Kara, take it away with her.
Fuck you, Matt.
Wandering Hearts. When last we played, we made our way back to the Golden Pool after an eventful procession of prizes, hoping to meet up with Hearsome. However, realizing only about 10 minutes had passed since we last left the Golden Pool, we instead dried off to varying degrees of success, had some early morning beers, breakfast, if it were, before deciding to check out the second venue available to us in Petrichor. The second venue, of course, being the arena located in the Petrichor Performers Association, back the way we came. When we arrived, the site of the arena was empty save for one person walking their dog, and we set about strategizing for our performance that we were definitely going to get to do the second round, not the first. Realizing that there was no possible way to keep our instruments dry without some assistance, Vincent decided to see if Feels would work anyway in the rain. Fun fact, they do not. Thank you. But upon realizing that Rez does have a fairly substantial wingspan when he is big Rez, maybe that would serve to provide some cover. In the end, we decided to head back towards the Golden Fool to resume practice for the day, in anticipation of having a dinner with Tundin Fuck you, man.
Tundin Schmeff, the Wonder Chef.
You're welcome.
Yes. After strategizing various different ways to keep ourselves dry, Alina suggested that maybe we should check in on Hirsum. After all, we do have a sending stone. Only to find that Hirsum sounded quite mirthful, having some time with his drinking buddies, we assume one of which being Crispy, and asked if Ori would be interested in a certain polytrolley...
Polytrolymorphic.
Not morphogenic. Matrophogenic.
Oh boy.
Polytrolley matrophogenic whiskey.
Polytrolymorphogenic.
I closed it. You're looking at me.
Okay,
I
well,
closed it.
anyway, I got it right, and that's how it's going to be for the rest of the campaign.
It's canon now.
Polytrolley matrophogenic whiskey.
I was right! Anyway. A legendary alcohol that certainly would not come back to bite us in the ass later.
It didn't. Spoiler alert.
I'm getting there.
It wasn't quite so simple.
We resumed practice, gaining, hopefully, some better idea of our performance the next day, before heading out to Tundin Schmeff, the Wonder Chef's pop-up. We were entertained with an array of a watermelon-style menu and the antics of Tundin's unseen servants, before realizing that the entire meal was a form of augur, a way of testing fate, predicting fate. And we were told that it would probably be best to not get smashed, trashed, and otherwise hammered before we perform, much to our chagrin, as then Hirsum also asked if Billy would be interested in some Sportunate Sun, a delightfully infused spirit made with mushrooms, which Kara has absolutely no affinity for. We returned back to the Golden Fool to turn in for the night after yet another practice session, but not before Billy pulled Valis aside for ostensibly to hand over something that would help with his performance, but instead to ask about Valis's experience with love and of the heart. Valis provided some good feedback for Billy, saying he was worried about her and the darkness that she might bring to the world, but also that it was okay to have our feelings and still not burn the world down.
So deep. So wise.
Much wise. Very deep. Upon awakening in the morning, we came downstairs to a veritable revelry of the gods, as Hirsum's drinking buddies were indeed the gods. And Crispy.
Demigods.
Let me have my moment, man. You want to do the recap? You do it next time. We were excited to try our various forms of liquor, some of us better than others. Alina tried the Wild Mother's Radiance rum, which ostensibly would allow her to change color? No, that
We never actually knew what it was.
we don't know.
Yeah.
Vincent's Valet says it has it though, and it's going to be great.
You did see here some imbibe it and immediately begin to glow radiantly from within.
Yes,
That
it
kind
was
of
a
glowing
radiant
skin.
glow.
There's a warmth, and then there is perhaps another benefit on top of that.
Billy, of course, imbibed in this fortunate sun thanks to assistance from those around her, specifically Minka, Cheshire, and Valis's aura, and was able to withstand the alcohol's embrace, as was Ori. We'll get to that. Valis, tempted by a goddess to be the hero and imbibe all three spirits at once in one mega beverage, of course, had to oblige. After downing a shot of radiance rum, a shot of fortunate sun, he came to the polytrolley metrophogenic whiskey, which did him in. But with quick thinking and a little remove curse, Valis was able to overcome the effects, not without a little bit of nausea, and is now able to glow and change appearance at will. Ori, on the other hand, successfully imbibed polytrolley metrophogenic whiskey alongside Crispy, who we learned is not just Crispy, his name is Chris Bach.
Chris Buck Root Runner.
And now is unequivocally handsome. And people are throwing themselves at him, and it's not at all hilarious for us in real life.
Because it's just like any other day.
And now, 30 minutes before we set to go on stage, this is where we begin our session.
All right, Wandering Hearts. It is the 10th of High Sun. It is the eulogy tournament of Lord Artasis. Excuse me, let me put some crowd noise in here because the crowds here are quite thick. There are people all over.
What was that?
That's the crowd.
That was the crowd, obviously.
I don't even know why we have Sirenscape,
That's
the
the
digital
real
tool set.
Ori
for doing that.
underneath the fancy Ori trying to escape.
Oh my god.
He's really just been possessed.
The vampires finally got him.
Okay.
Oh, get back in there.
So there is a pretty healthy crowd kind of gathered around. And they're a very quiet crowd.
Very quiet.
Bump that.
Ah,
Oh,
there
there they are.
Found him.
Okay, I had to turn them way up. Okay.
We were getting closer and walking too.
Yeah.
There you go. You walk in. There's a little bit more of a crowd that is visible and available for all of you. You can see in front of you there is sort of the Petrichor Performers Association through the mist and the rain. There are people kind of crowding the ways and smells that mix into the damp air here. You don't just smell rain, you also smell like cooking meat and alcohol. There is the smell of wet fur as like huge bugbears walk by, just kind of drenched from the rain, making their way towards this tournament. You can hear music in the air, and you have about 30 minutes ahead, just like Kara said. In this time, you have just a little bit of time to prepare. If there's other things that you want to do, you could make your way in and prepare within the actual place proper, or you could do other things about town prior to going in, and then be somewhat rushed onto stage. What are you all doing?
Where are the judges?
From where you are sitting, or not sitting, from where you are standing outside of the Petrichor Performers Association, seeing like the buildings kind of unfolding in front of you, you don't see the judges. You're not in the actual theater itself.
Is there a location we have to like check into as you know, one of the performing groups?
You would imagine probably so. You haven't seen it, it's not outside.
Okay, probably go to the backstage area.
Okay.
Yeah, is there a green room?
So you
And
make
as
your
we're going
way a
through the
little bit
crowd,
further
Yeah.
in. Billy,
Hello.
you have anything that you want to do?
Did we have some sort of short stint of rest in between imbibing alcohol and now?
Markedly not.
Cool. Just thought I'd check in.
Yeah. So you make your way into the actual building proper. The doorways kind of swallow you up. You have something?
No, how? So I can. Who am I enhancing? Not you. But
You are enhanced.
What do you mean?
us?
How many people can you enhance?
I can. Well, I was gonna save the big one for the second performance, and then do one less person for this performance. So, 5 and then 4.
Are there other performers around? Like, we've heard of all of them now. Do I see any of them?
Looking ahead as you make your way in here, it's only about half an hour in. You don't see anybody.
Well,
I think I'll be okay for the first performance because I think one of the drinks will help me, at least for the first one.
My drink didn't work.
and he's
He's impossibly handsome. I think he's going to be okay.
People are like walking by and just running their hands along his shoulders. Or he's not noticeably like more muscular or anything, but they're treating him like he is. They're treating him like he is like peak Channing Tatum.
again. I
And,
can't
like,
stop looking at him.
Yeah.
Or he's pretty muscular. He's a skinny guy.
And Cheshire probably doesn't need enhancing, right? I
I'm
mean,
playing
you're...
more of a support role in this round anyway.
Okay.
I mean,
So,
if it's a
1, 2, 3, 4.
We also
Sure.
need to be aware that the other performers may be scoping us out during this first performance in
think they
anticipation for the second.
I think they're all looking at you, Ori.
You turn around, you see like everybody is turning immediately. You see this grung just dart forward, and she just says, "If you're not really seeing anybody right now, you're really good looking." And well, you know, I'm getting older. She
Well-
thrusts out this hand. You can see like webbed. There's like this kind of like. You've spoken enough with grung to kind of know that their skin has a toxin on it, but she holds this out to you. And she just says, "Take my hand. Let's start a life together." And then almost immediately this halfling comes over and says, "She's not interested in you," and shoves the hand away. And in that moment,
Oh no.
you see this like look come over her eyes, and she says, "You are gorgeous. Just a moment." And she just runs out into the rain. You
Does
hear
she
it
need to be... Yeah.
as she squelches down into something wet. But the grung goes, "Oh dear, just a second."
I really
We've
need
been
to be
there.
going, actually.
And she
but-
runs outside to go find this person who is now squashed down in some mud. You can hear her just saying, "It's not real. You don't really want to be there." Oh no! But you, or you're
Do you
getting a
need
lot
a
of attention.
shield?
I think we should find the backstage area.
Isn't that what we're already... Yeah, I agree.
So you make your way straight ahead. You can see in front of you there are these two statues of bards, both playing flutes that form this sort of archway into the actual space. The Rose Theater is like this wood floor, stone walls that kind of unfolds in front of you. You see the raised stage up there. And Ori, now, as you make your way into like the theater, and you can see off and to the left, there is like a corridor that you can walk around, and there's like a sort of like bar area and things like that. You have to walk through the actual like seating area to get there, but then through there you see there is a corridor that snakes its way back behind the stage, and there's like a little bar kind of set up where somebody is.
I believe
watching.
we need to go that way.
You do see up on the stage. There is, in fact, and sure, you guys can like start making your way into like the crowd. There is a individual who is standing up on the stage who is wearing like very fine clothes. They are a half elf who has like this sort of like manicured pointed beard that still has this sort of wave to it, this mustache, this really elaborate sort of almost like lavender hat. They are draped in petite gold chains, and there's many gems on these thick rings that are on their fingers. And they seem to be sort of like waiting, and you can see as they see and clock all of you, they look at you and they just sort of wave you forward and then point towards the door that Ori has gestured for you all to enter. So you make your way across, you wave. You can see they like Ori, you can actually read lips, so you can see they say yes, just hurry up. And you like make your way across. You go into this backstage area, and you can see there is this elf who is standing behind the bar. They spot you and seem to kind of recognize who you are. The eyes go down and kind of see the badges that are displayed. But more importantly, you're wearing matching outfits, and you very much look like you belong in a battle of the bards. They nod to you, and they say, "The wandering hearts, I presume. Please, come this way. We just have only about 20 minutes left. If you've any warming up to do, please, get it on with."
I
Kinda
warm
jerks to
up.
the side a little bit.
You don't need to know what that looks like.
Billy gives everyone a little bit like of a tune pitch in case they need to get their instruments in tune.
Sure.
Tune yours.
He says, "All right, here then. All right. Just if you're wondering who to direct the performance to, the judges will be on the upper deck, along with any of the other performers who have chosen to arrive. Extended Rain will be going first,
Okay.
and then you will be following them. You'll be introduced, of course.
Splendid.
Are we allowed to listen in the wings, or should we stay?
Yes,
all
you'll
of them?
listen on stage right, and then you'll enter in after Extended Rain."
Okay.
They kind of turn around, they go back to waiting. Most people already have drinks and beverages. People are like excited and out in this waiting area. If you want, you can make your way backstage.
Is it, was it, when we were outside in the space, was it raining?
Yes.
We had been told that
Oh, this is the covered one.
the lady was,
Yeah.
oh,
You're indoors.
It's the
Yeah.
indoors one.
Would a visual perspective be helpful?
yeah.
Yes.
This is the Rose Theater where we did the audition.
Oh, I thought it was the first
Just
one
need a
was
little
outside.
space.
Okay.
No.
All the way around.
Cool. Never mind. Thanks, everybody.
A visual perspective
Depending
for
on how well
a
we do here, we
perfectly
may not make it.
non-violent
So-
performance.
Fun
True.
fact about the name
Fine.
Rose Theater, which Joe did not know, is that in London, if you've heard of the Globe Theater, which is famously like Shakespeare's Globe, there was another theater called the Rose. It was the Globe's predecessor. It was across the river. And the reason why it's funny is because the Rose, like the Globe Theater, is an open air theater. I guess it's
As
less
most
funny
were.
and more just kind of interesting.
Just
And I was like, "Oh, Joe, you called it the Rose Theater, like on purpose, right?" And Joe was like, "What?"
I was like, no, it's because like
history
there's
facts.
rose shapes in the wood.
This
Man.
is a really big map.
I interned at the Globe Theater when I was in college. Like, no big deal.
That's really cool.
It was awesome. I was on the straight cruise. Oh god. Oh god. Oh
A
god.
pull up bar.
Can we?
Camera, and you can see this, of course, a little bit on this camera, but you can see it in much greater detail. If people take pictures, big asterisk at Alberon RPG.
We've
I mean,
been good. Vincent's been good.
Vincent has been good.
I'm always good.
Let's be clear. Vincent has been very good. Vincent is a good boy.
I'm a good boy.
He gets head pats and everything.
I like that Alana's pictures are reliably at a jaunty angle. Just throwing the links.
Sorry to everyone.
You can see as you like entered in, there are the statues that are kind of flanking the doors on either side right there. There's the wooden theater. The stage itself up there, you can see the half elf who is wearing sort of like the Mortal Kombat Raiden hat.
Nice.
That is the person who's actually dressed in like these kind of lavender fineries, the very fine gold chains. You can see Extended Rain as a band off there in the corner, kind of waiting. I did not have a parrot-colored Aarakocra, and so there is a Quetzalcoatl that is now taking the place over there.
See, not
What
the
do you mean you don't have that on standby though?
You know, I actually have the Aarakocra. I just didn't get around to painting it because Fallout is this week, and there's if you join us for Fallout on Sunday, you might see some minis.
Why is there a passed out person right?
That's the halfling who
That's-
touched the
Oh!
ground, right?
There's sometimes just things that are happening all around. They should be out in the lobby, actually.
Sorry, I was like, did someone die?
Yes. But
we just watched someone die. Yeah.
you
Just get
are in an
paralyzed.
enclosed space. This is exactly as it sort of appears and looks. You can see like there's just a big crowd out there. Yep. You are like in the back, kind of approaching. So you can see like where in front of Kara, there's a
We're
little
in
bar.
here.
Yeah, you guys are making your way currently into the back area behind the stage. There are curtains that kind of conceal
All of
the
the
back
squares.
stone part that is behind the raised elevated wooden stage.
Mhm.
And so when you are back there, you are technically hidden. When you peer through the curtains, you can see above those like angels, there is that
The
upper deck. And when you get there and you make your way through, kind of crowding in with Extended Rain, who, Ori, you found him. Here is the rival band. You can also peer up, and in the darkness of the upper deck, you can see a number of people. Give me just one moment.
But still no sign of the Awesome Lock Choir or anyone.
That's the next
We're in
round.
here.
Right,
You
but
see
would still presumably be
a
around.
woman of slim build with large eyes. You can see a small pointed chin, frizzy hair that is pulled back into a neat tight bun. She's wearing a velvet black dress with golden buttons and large puffy shoulders that feature a dark gray pattern with these sort of like almost golden stars on them. You see sitting next to her is a short, red, blonde-haired halfling with a very bright blue coat that almost glows in the darkness. They are carrying a red lute behind them, and it is like cherry red and also quite bright in the darkness. And then you see a figure very familiar to all of you. You see Lord Hearsome, the satyr archfey lord, this glowing mane of red hair, almost as bright as Nilly Winslow's sort of lute. They are sitting front and center, and you can see the Spore Lord Silefer seated behind them, although seated a strong word. The mycelia just draped across all these different sort of like seats, and so every now and then they just pulse, and you can see all these people backlit behind. And then you can see Veranestra, the Oak Princess, who is also kind of seated with that group. You see no sign of the Choir of Awesome. You see no sign of Aldwin Sinks. You see a sea of faces to whom you're not familiar with out in the theater proper, and that is what you see.
The thin woman with the large eyes and the halfling with the bright blue coat.
Sure.
Are those the other judges?
Make an insight check. Sorry, Starfinder. Catch it Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
20.
Is it advantage on all charisma checks or just specifically?
It's on.
Oh, never mind. This is insight.
Yeah, this is insight.
I'll charm the meaning of this social situation.
Yeah, 21.
With the 21, you look up there and you see, like, Archfey. You see all important people. You see Hearsome, who you know is a judge.
Right.
These are probably the other
Like,
judges.
so it's those three.
And there's
Silefer
one more.
and Veranestra are not.
They're not judges. They're just there
They're
with
just
Hearsome.
there with
They're like kind of Hearsome's
Yeah.
right now.
Like they're
You
sitting
do see
behind.
one seat that is empty in that front row between Hearsome and between the woman with these puffy sleeves. And turning your attention to the person who is standing up front and is turning and kind of seeing all of you arrive over his shoulder, and who kind of nods and begins to kind of survey the crowd. They're probably the final judge.
Is the lady apparent anywhere? I forget her last name because yeah, Lady Artasis. Is
Make a
she?
perception check.
Does anyone recognize any of the other judges?
Ooh,
Does
natural
anyone
one.
recognize any of the
It's a
other
natural
judges?
one. You have never seen that person before in your life.
Do we, any of us, recognize any of the...
Let's make a history check at advantage.
Any of the judges.
I would, if Ori was directing my attention, I would look as well.
You look up, make a history check. I would say at disadvantage.
What?
Can I look
gonna say,
around for
Village,
Lady
like,
Artasis
no.
too?
Sure, make a
While
perception
they're
check.
while they're seeing if they recognize any of those folks that are
17.
9.
With a 9, you look up. That is some important looking lady.
Yeah.
With a
17.
a 17, you look up, and I would say you recognize, first of all, the person who is standing on stage. That is the executive of assemblies of the Petrichor Performers Association. That is the head of the entire thing. This is Linus Devastat. They're known for being a sort of like rough person to work with. They've driven many bards out of the field of arts. But they are from a well-off family outside of the noble spire, and so you have heard of them and their family for sure, being from there.
This person right here?
That person right there. Turning your attention up, you don't quite recognize the woman, but the person who has the red blonde hair, the halfling, you recognize them. That's Nilly Winslow. That is a very famous bard. In fact, the Petrichor Performers Association Bard of the Year, likely this year, was a similar award across the ocean in Dominion the year prior. With your perception check, Ori, you kind of glance around, and Minka is staring straight down at the floor. You're not sure why,
Are
but for
nervous,
you,
Minka?
Oh, I thought I saw something.
but Minka almost certainly didn't, because all that there is to see across the stage, off stage left, you can see on the other side in the wings where the
Over
curtains are.
here.
Yeah, there is kind of hiding. So you see where the wood ends.
Yeah.
There's another little 5-foot alcove. And
Yeah.
off there is the Lady Artasis Oscourt, who is kind of scrunched in, right next to this half elf, who is wearing fine clothes,
The
but
other people
really,
vying for it.
yeah, nothing super fancy. Those are the two patrons, almost certainly. You've seen kind of everybody that is in this locality. I would say with that check, you also see amongst the crowd, security has been stepped up since the incident that occurred. You see not one, not two, but 4 members of the Jade Fang that are all sort of here in full green armor. And they are currently kind of serving both as like the sort of bouncers at a concert. 2 of them are standing in the front line, keeping people from like getting onto the stage. There are also 2 that are standing facing the stage in front of the pillars proper.
Man, no real fool stands upon the shore.
Is the other patron anyone recognizable? Do we know any of the other patrons?
Did you say something, Cheshire? What?
Make a history
Something
check.
about a man with something to stand upon the hill.
What?
Okay. You said a thing.
A shivering hill.
Yeah.
Can a hill shiver? Now I'm staring at the floor thinking about shivering hills.
I've seen you make them
It's
shiver.
some lady. She's probably done a couple things in her life, as most people are wont to do.
Who's the other patron over there?
Oh, I tell them. I'm guessing you're pointing at Nelly.
No, so you see Valis, Ori is pointing across the stage into the other sort of stage left exit, and you can see Lady Ortasis Oscourt, your patron, but standing next to them there is a half-elf who is wearing like okay clothing. Make a history check. This is just flat.
11.
Damn.
11.
That's Lady Artasis. She's our patron.
I meant the other one.
Oh, of course.
That's somebody. But as you know that you're going to be introduced, likely they will too. And so your lack of knowledge not really set to hurt you too bad.
Thank goodness.
Anything else people are doing to get ready for this show?
Alina, sorry, I think Minka would wait until about 10 minutes before they're due to be on, and then kind of pull everyone together for like a huddle, and then cast Enhance Ability on herself, Alina, Billy, and Valis.
So anything before the 10-minute mark.
Well, Alina is gonna like whisper to the group, "Don't forget, someone, I forget who, Hannah forgets to, told us recently that it's likely that the other groups are gonna try to mess with us." So
That's
like,
the second part, not this one.
That's what I
okay.
was saying for the next round. This is
Next round will
probably
be
I
playing
keep
together.
forgetting
The
which
scoping
thing
out
applies
round.
to which.
they
So
will
for
be
what it's
looking
worth,
for our
Yeah.
abilities.
You can see that you are in proximity to the stage. You're going to be directly behind them while they perform and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's not part of the show. It's not in the rules necessarily, but this map
Keep an
exists so
eye
that
out.
you can see spacing and you can see sight lines, and should you want to, you will very likely have an opportunity to interact with this performance.
We were told that that's kind of not part of the show. So,
But I'm going to keep my eye out, just in case.
You do have a good eye for detail.
I also
we
prepared
hear
things
deceits as well.
to help
We've already had
spell
bandits, so
substances.
Okay.
Since I'm not really doing as much per se, I'll keep my eye open.
Sounds good. We could have Res be an eye in the sky too if we wanted.
perhaps backstage.
Good idea. Res,
Yeah.
you're staying here. You're the security.
All right, yeah.
Just keep an eye out for anything weirder if anybody's
Make sure
like.
that yes.
You can talk to him. It's okay.
Make sure that no one tries to mess with our performance.
I'll do whatever you want.
Oh no!
See, he's just kind of flying there for a little bit. Oh, you mean right now?
While we're performing.
Okay, yeah. Just kind of like stares at you for a little bit, but no problem.
I'm gonna tell him to
is everything
sit
all
up in
right
like
with
the
Rez?
rafters so that if anyone comes in here who happens to be able to see invisible creatures, they
Okay.
won't notice him.
No problem. Can you make a stealth check for us?
He was much more willing to listen this time.
At this moment,
Seeing this though?
you can see the halfling, who is part of Extended Rain, approaches all of you. And they come over. You can see this individual. They're athletic. They have very neatly parted auburn hair. They put some kind of product into it to like comb it out nice and flat. They have a giant unkempt beard, big grin, and they're wearing suspenders attached to baggy linen trousers. Still no shirt. But they do look like they've showered recently or washed recently, and so at least cleaner than you last saw them. They don't have like a stain across their chest from the food that they were eating. But they turn, they hook their thumbs into their suspenders, and they say, "Well, hi, I'm Wyndon. I represent the Extended Rain Band, and we're just here to have a good, clean competition."
Lovely.
We're
Wow.
excited to play today.
Wow.
You're a handsome fella, aren't you?
Thank you. You're not so bad yourself.
How do you do that?
Well,
What kind of product do you use?
He's born that way.
I usually sleep outside.
Sleep outside, you say? Hot damn! All right, boys, I learned something. And he goes, he like talks to everybody, gathers them up. You see the Eric Croker pops her head outside and goes, "Gah, outside?" And then he says, "Not now, head down," and like pulls him back into the huddle. And they talk. But they start talking about this and discussing it in the huddle.
That's amazing.
Could I have made an insight check
Sure.
when he said we're here to have like a clean competition?
Make an insight check.
Yeah, was he
absolutely.
fucking lying? You're for deceit.
Red's got 25 on
18.
something. Oh no, sorry, 22.
18. Then 18, you listen to him. He says, "We want to have a good, clean competition." He hooks his thumbs into his suspenders. He smiles, and it's very genuine. He came over primarily to ask Ori about his skin routine, and then went back and like excitedly reported it to the rest of the group. They seem like they're here to have a pretty good time.
They seem like
I would say with an 18, you get the sense that as long as you do not interfere with their performance, they probably won't do so to you. And even if you do, their interference is not likely to be malicious or like evil. It's a bunch of people who are having a good time and like they're
like
trying
the
their
soggy
best.
bottom boys.
They're probably gonna give us like
They
a
definitely
random
give off
like
those
cat
vibes,
ear
yeah.
or something, so we look stupid, but it's funny.
I relay that.
Mumford and Sons.
Kind of range seems pretty honest. I don't
Speaking
think they're
of
going to be
twang.
doing anything untoward towards us during our performance.
That's good.
I think we should just,
Focus
let
on
them
the
go.
performance then.
Oh, Billy, would you like me to add any flowers to your flower crown today?
Less flowers today.
Okay.
Wait, well, flowers later.
Sad
Flowers
flowers.
Okay.
Sure.
I can do that.
Howdy, gutter.
Can you do anything with mist? Thought there'd be more of it inside, but not really. Can you do anything with mist?
Who wants to be the
I
smoke
can
machine?
spit a little bit.
Yes. Kara's having Billy ask if anyone can be a smoke machine.
I could.
I mean, I
Ooh,
could
I
cast
actually I have
Hug
my
her
smoke
up
bombs,
the
right? I have a
dark.
couple of them, right?
I
You
could-
do.
I
You
could change
went through
the
great
cherry
effort to
to
make
make it
those. If you want to
messy.
use them here,
I would work.
I mean,
Okay.
I only have
So
like
I'll do
what?
that as we
I can
go
always
out.
make more.
So like,
It's only like leaves.
like a more misty like a forest or misty like a bog.
I have some
What's the
smoke
difference?
bombs.
The like underlying like vibe. Like misty like a forest is like it's mysterious and kind of haunting, but like you aren't put off by it. Misty like a bog is like there are things in the ground.
but Mika, there are things in the ground everywhere. You come from the Enclave, a place
Yeah, you
that
come from the
literally
ground.
is things in
You
the
are a
ground.
thing in the ground.
Yes,
I think
and I
the
know
idea is
things
not
to the
to
ground.
unsettle, just to create atmosphere.
Well,
We should do this, the mist like
Yes.
the candlestick for it, because then they won't be able to see us.
I wouldn't do like crazy, right?
I have a
Yes.
thought.
Yes.
Perhaps
How much do you want?
Whatever is the mysterious and ooh, but not level of mist.
That is very descriptive. But yes, I can do this.
Ooh, not
Maybe we can save the train for the second one.
Well, yeah, because the second one's more of like a play and less of like a song, so like that's probably better.
Okay.
Probably.
Keep them on there. Keep them guessing. Right? Right? We're trying to be like.
Oh, wait. Are we doing the mist now or later?
I think we're not till.
I will save the smoke bombs for the battle.
Yes. Let's go with Gesture to start.
maybe
And
like
Minka will change terrain later.
That sounds good.
Is that
We already have extended rain.
what about like maybe like
Good
a
one.
foot or two of mist at our
You
feet?
definitely thought it was a good one because I got a plus
wanted
25
more like so
because-
that
oh,
the
that's-
lights would look like they're stuck in the clouds?
Real mist
And
might be
also
good.
because I'm going to maybe use this, and Billy kind of pulls out the figurine of wondrous power.
Okay, so in Billy's hand, you can see a dark onyx dog.
What is?
What does that do again?
You got that at Shea Balloons, didn't you?
I didn't.
It was.
Cheshire got it.
And
And
yet
then
now
gave it
you
to
have it.
Well, it's yours.
Can you like maybe dial it down just a little bit? You're very distracting.
It was.
It's yours.
Yes.
I like the idea of doing an invisible man
Do you
kind of
wanna-
setup, but it's because he's just too handsome.
No, do here.
Okay,
So
so-
that the dog will be a surprise.
Okay.
I wrote another verse.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Is it about the dog?
I don't know how to talk to you.
Such a serious song, and Billy's already reprimanded you once about like.
I would like to
No, I
slap
guess it was
Ori on the
Val's
head
who
for
got
that.
reprimanded.
No, Ori got reprimanded as well.
Can I slap Ori in the head for that comment?
Yeah, that's a free action. You slap Ori on that. I guess it's an action, but we're not in initiative. You slap Ori on the head. It deals minimal damage, but maybe jolts some sense back into.
Emotional damage.
At this, you can see the gentleman who was kind of standing up on stage was making their way over to extended range to say something. They see you strike Ori, and they say, "I say, do not strike such a handsome man."
It's totally fine.
Good sir, you are far too handsome.
Oh,
Period.
To be struck. 10 minutes to showtime, everyone.
Thank you,
And he
Sam.
makes his way over to like extended rain and starts talking to them.
I'm
kinda calls
sorry,
everyone up.
Alice.
I'm gonna cast it now
Okay.
to get it started,
Okay.
and then we're just gonna like huddle together, and so it's not so obvious.
She's gonna cast Eagle Splendor on herself, Valis, Alina, and
I like the idea as
Really?
part of you casting it, you like huddle everybody together and then you cast it, and video game style, like there's a huge voice in the air that goes, "Eagle Splendor! Eagle Splendor! Quadruple blast!" But yeah, no problem. You cast the spell quietly. With all the excitement out in the field, you, like, nobody pays attention to this. You can see this individual talking to extended rain, kind of laughing and joking with them. And so you cast Bless on whom?
so on Billy, Alina, herself, and Valis.
And how long
And
does
it's
Bless
enhanced.
last?
It's not
enhanced-
enhanced,
Oh,
enhanced
enhanced
ability.
Very
Yes,
boring.
so I'm casting it at the 4th level. So
2 hours?
actually no, wait, sorry, 5th level. So it hits 4 of us,
Okay.
and it's up to 1 hour.
Okay.
But it is a concentration spell, so once we get out there, I'll probably shift into Dragon to help maintain
Gotcha.
concentration.
Just a second.
Billy like goes over to Cheshire and says, "I know you never need encouragement before a performance, but thank you for your assistance."
Oh, little bardic inspiration.
Tiny bardic.
What's a tiny bardic? Is that?
I accept this.
That's a ton of bark.
It's a tiny bardic.
But I feel weird about it.
Billy like kind of like goes over and to Minka and is like, "You're gonna be great."
Thank you.
They're so small.
And then she goes over to Alita and says, "I can't decide if that's distracting or not."
What is she pointing at? Oh.
It's almost like when you look over at Ori, your eyes involuntarily lose focus on things around him, and it just like pulls your vision in.
I feel like, people will probably like it, right? I mean, he's like, You ever hear that
You look
card?
over right now, and there is like a dryad who has come out of like the backstage, and they're just like quickly doing like their own little sketch, just like Valis was doing with Ori. Like very distracting. Yeah, absolutely. You can see one of the Jade Fangs comes over and just goes, "You're not supposed to be back here," and just takes them away.
I think it's probably going to have more benefit than non-benefit.
I'm just hoping.
Thank you.
It's tiny.
The smallest one so far. So you give out just a little bit of inspiration to all of your compatriots. You cast Enhance Ability on everybody. Anybody else have any pre-performance preparations?
Ready the flute.
Okay, you prepare your flute. You prime it. You add gunpowder. You just jam it down there. You are ready to go.
Throw a couple of the
Continue to train.
blow darts in there.
Okay. Oh, look at this. Everybody inspiring around. So you can see...
Guys, you keep saying that, and then I have advantage. That's not much.
I believe you.
There's a wave of excitement that goes through the crowd as the curtains open up behind just a little bit, allowing a space where you could potentially walk out. But you see at this, the half-elf who has been speaking to Extended Rain kind of like gestures to them and then walks over, takes a deep breath, and then walks out. And there is like a wave of excitement through the crowd. You could hear clapping and cheering. People are very excited. And they step forwards and they say, "It is with the greatest pleasure, finest mood, and most respectful of intentions that I, the Executive of Assemblies of the Petrichor Performers Association, Linus de Vestat, welcome you to Lord Artasis' Eulogy Tournament. I may begin by commemorating the man whose birthday it is, Lord Jorndrik Artasis, the musician of melodies, the magnificent minder of musical moments, the man who commanded us have this tournament in my honor. Husband, performer, friend, and inspiration, Lord Artasis will be remembered for his contributions to this field, second only to his contributions to our society. In line with Lord Artasis' request, 4 of the finest musicians in the lands will compete for one of the relatives to whom this opportunity has been bequeathed. Let's meet our inheritors and competitors for the first round. Ladies and gentlemen, and all other fine folk, introducing Petrichor's own brewing sensation with hair that sparkles from the enchanted glass beads she wears within, and a heart set on brewing the finest beer from the finest water in all the land, Ariadri's Ale House's Tishila Avaskeen, head brewer. And in the front row, you can see people start clapping. There is this like wave of like people holding up these tankards that slosh with ale. And from the stage left, you can see the person who is standing next to your patron steps out and onto the stage. People cheer, and this individual, you can see they're wearing like relatively modest clothing compared to the lords and ladies kind of gathered around. Still prettily put together, simple leathers and garments of navy with brass buttons. And Linus says, "And with her, Petrichor's own folks from the Fae, Extended Rain." And there is loud cheering now. And this other group kind of like, they bow to all of you, and they walk through the curtain. And you can see the athletic halfling who greeted all of you. This is a person named Wyndon Runstocking. They have the suspenders and the baggy linen trousers, and they are like wave to everybody. Behind them stands the lanky human named Nolterdorn Nolti Menderset, who wears a tan tunic, black trousers, and a sort of newsy cap that has been treated with wax to keep the rain off. Behind them stands the bass player, a brilliantly green and yellow plumed Aarakocra, who I believe you got the name of as Rakit. They're the individual whose wings kind of flutter softly. They're excited, you can see, but they hold this banjo ready. And then the final player is a grunt. They are clad in a large barrel that you had seen them sort of like resting against. It is now like sort of their entire outfit. They have suspenders that go over the barrel proper, and every now and then you can kind of hear them just go boom. And there is kind of a musical little boom, boom, boom that goes out from it. That seems to be part of their instrument. They also
They are a
hold
little band.
they also hold two different kind of jugs. Yeah, absolutely, they very much are. But they all make their way out. They stand up on the stage, and then Linus says, "And their opponent, the wife of our dearly departed, the Lady Oscourt Artasis." And the crowd doesn't change very much. You see Lady Emberly Artasis Oscourt, the shapely woman in her 50s, heavy, pale makeup, dyed black hair, black lipstick, black clothing, gauzy black train. Then as she steps out, you can see this handmaiden again struggles and kind of joins her and carries it out behind her. You can see there is scowls on her face, but also you hear one or two people just kind of boo. She is not generally well liked. This is her husband's funeral, but you see Linus just up there goes, now, and just kind of gestures for people to settle down.
Quite rude.
Linus then says, "And with her, new to music, but known to adventure, the wandering," and then there is a sudden cough, and this single cough reverberates through this room, and there is magical light that suddenly begins to just glow up on the upper stage, and Hearsome stands up, and the crowd grows just a little bit quieter. He's not drunk. He seems roughly as sober as you typically see Hearsome at any given point.
He's drunk.
Just a buzz. It's just a buzz, okay?
And from above, you hear your patron's voice as he says, "Ah, forgive me, Linus, but you have left out such important honorifics. Worry not. It is nature for a mortal mind to forget the nuances of each person's path. Allow me." And then, magically amplified, his voice booms through the space. "And with the Lady Oscourt Artasis, please welcome banishers of evil from the Emerald Spire, emissaries of her royal flyness, protector of the groves, liberators of Kuatar Artria in the Feywild, and judicicars of the Treaty of Four Seasons, the Wandering Hearts." And people clap. There is much more cheering now. And he gestures to your side of the stage, and the light that radiates from his body is thrown like a spotlight across the space and diffuses to catch each of you. Just a tiny fragment of this glowing energy, as if you are touched by the Feywild itself. You wave. For Ori in particular, people actually rush the stage a little bit. The Jade Fae starts shoving people back. You hear over the crowd, "I need backup in the front row." One of the other two Jade Bags goes over. There's now three of them in the front. They had to add an extra security detail for Ori. But the crowd goes wild, and you can see the host is frowning ever so slightly at this. But he calls out, trying to get the crowd to settle down, and he says, "Yes, yes, yes. Very good, Lord Hearsome. Now, let us begin. Wandering Hearts, please step aside. Let's welcome Extended Rain and their original song, The Feywild Candy Mountains." And he bows and exits, and the patrons return to their sides off to the edge. And you are all sort of ushered back to the side, curtain stage right. So, you see the blue grung begins to blow steadily on one of the jugs that is by his side. You can hear this woo, woo, woo. And the Eric Hooker's bass joins in, and you can hear them begin to warm up. The crowd begins to settle down now, and you can hear Extended Rain begin to start playing. In this moment, what is about to happen is a rough group skills check. You get the sense that they're about to start singing a song, and when this performance begins, they will have a verse, and then one of you will have an opportunity to interact in some way if you want. This can either be directly impacting the performance in some way, it can be working the crowd in some way, or it could be otherwise sort of observing or interacting with the things that are around you. Let me go ahead and pull up our combat cam, though we are very clearly not in combat. We are in music.
Combat of music.
And this music works just fine for this kind of music.
Is everybody in the spot they want to be in?
So you all kind of gather off into the corner. The banjo sort of hits, and the halfling steps forwards. You can see. Let me actually kill the music. Let me do what I did for the other. Okay. So you can see the halfling step forwards. Their eyes start to go up and down. There's this banjo playing. There's this of this jug playing. and they begin to sing. And they sing, "One fine evening as the night bird sang, and the big campfire was burning. Through the woods came a hunter hiking, and he said, 'Folk, I'm not turning. I'm headed for a land that's far away, and the magic beyond counting. So come with me, and we'll go and see the Feywild Candy Mountains.'" And then the banjo begins to pick up, and like there's a looping chorus that starts to roll through. Is there anything that all of you are doing to interact with this?
And
I love that movie so much.
This is
movie.
it is in a movie called Oh Brother Where Art Thou. It's also
Yeah.
just a
Big Rock
real
Candyman.
song.
Oh,
Yeah.
And it's a real song that is
Oh.
old enough that it is public domain.
yes.
Yeah.
Earlier you said they're like the Soggy Bottom Boys.
Very
so it's
much
all
like the Soggy
very-
Bottom Boys,
yeah.
yes.
Oh, we got a wheel for that good song.
Oh, thank you.
Not gonna interact, but she's gonna be hear about the Candy Mountains and think like, didn't we almost go to Candy Mountains in the
Make a
Feywild?
history check.
Wasn't that a thing we almost did?
Sure.
A 9.
A 9, as the banjo begins to pick up, and you can see the Aarakocra take the bass and begin to play a more steady beat. You have no idea. You're lost in the music, and there's just this charm that is coming from all of them. Anything else anybody is doing? One other opportunity.
No, you go for it.
No,
Mine's dumb.
do your dumb thing, and I'll do my serious thing on the next verse.
Okay. This song is great. I want to learn it so I can play it later.
Free action.
Never mind that it's dumb.
Grab out some parchment and you start writing it down. The halfling starts to sing again, and they go, "In the Feywild Candy Mountains, there's a land that's fair and bright, where cupcakes grow on bushes, and you can sleep out every night, where the owl bears are all quite friendly, and the rainbows every day. Just look out for the liquid floors and the acid springs and the man on strings in the Feywild Candy Mountains." And then the grung begins to also hop back and forth on their legs. You can hear the ooh, ooh begin to get even louder. Is there anything that anybody's doing to interact with this performance?
Do your thing. No, do it.
Like,
You were
peek through the curtains to get a better view of the crowd, and also to try and see what the judges' reactions
Okay.
are.
Make a perception check, and this may lead to an insight check. One other thing that people are doing to interact with this.
Billy,
Billy.
at the line of man and strings, is just going to kind of like side-eye Cheshire a little bit. But then is going to place the statuette on the ground and just like whisper the little word to it to make it turn into a dog.
Okay.
Oh,
With the 26, you peer out, and through the crowd, you see the crowd cheering certainly into it. This performance, getting a reaction from them, and then you look up, and you can see almost everybody seated. Nilly Winslow in the bright blue coat, enthused, standing up, very excited. You can see their fingers like playing along with the actual banjo player, despite the fact that they have a lute. They're excited by this, and so at the very least, one of the judges blown away. They're performing well enough, and you get the sense that if you don't intervene, they're setting themselves up pretty well for success here, but you are quite handsome. Billy, you side-eye to Cheshire. Is there anything else that you're doing with that?
dog on the
Oh,
ground.
yes, you set the dog down on the ground. You whisper this word, which is what?
I haven't decided yet.
Okay, so you whisper a word, and the crowds cheer. It's lost. Nobody can quite hear what you say. Lucky you. But the figurine certainly can. And in this moment, you can see the dark jade figurine kind of rocks and then wobbles back and then forth and then is just a large, dark dog. And in your mind, you can hear this loud woof that just echoes. And you can see its eyes gaze into yours, and then the tail begins to wag very fast. It's a happy dog. And then the tail. This dog, very different than the other one, and you don't feel the same malice from this one. But no problem, you do that. You could see the Aarakocra begins to kind of fly up, and they drift back and forth, left and right, over the audience now, and off their wings, little prestidigitation sparkles fall off and kind of rain down into the crowd as the halfling sings, "In the Feywild Candy Mountains, you never have to sleep, and the little streams of Feywild wine come flowing down a creek. The carriages are always free, and the inns are all divine. The stew is free of charge, and the ales are large, if you can sneak them by the Medusa of the Feywild Candy Mountains. And then the Aarakocra lands and begins to dance behind the others, and as the halfling hooks his thumbs into his suspenders, you sense a finale coming. You have one last chance to influence this performance. Is there anything that any of you are doing?
That is quite a good performance so far. They are a bit of a challenge.
We'll be fine.
Are you so sure?
I mean, look at you.
I can't.
You can see the halfling steps forwards. The whole band just draws together, and the halfling says, "In the Feywild Candy Mountains, the dungeons are on the beach, and you can walk right out again if you can slip out of your leash. There ain't no bars of iron, no chains nor cuffs nor gags. Just avoid the gaze of those beyond days from the Fey of old when Alberon was cold in the Feywild Candy Mountains." And they finish, and the bodies kind of all draw up together and then close with the harmony, and the banjo plays like extra hard as their voices run out, and the cheers fill the hall. And you can see the announcer walks out to the opposite side of the stage and kind of bows along with all of Extended Rain. You can see there's like a couple like little really like wet flowers that were clearly picked from outside that like hit the stage from people who have like brought them in. And he turns and kind of looks at you for a moment and then turns back to the crowd. You kind of clap. Yeah. You clap as well. No problem. You can see the halfling turns around. He kind of gestures and like tilts a non-existent hat to all of you. But Linus calls for quiet, and he says, "Unbelievable. There you have it, folks. So sorry to put such a strong act first, but Extended Rain with Feywild Candy Mountains, everybody." And like again, the crowd goes wild, and he calls for quiet. And he says, "And now for their opponents, the Wandering Hearts." And he kind of like turns and walks away, like the voice kind of trails off as he does so. And he just steps off.
He's one of the judges too.
He is, yes.
He's gonna be the Simon Cowell.
It's gonna be a tough one for him, yes. But he walks off stage. You can see he shoots a look at you, and the floor is now open. Wandering Hearts, you step across the wooden stage, and there is this huge crowd in front of you. You can see some. You can see a trio of Archfey, in fact, who are all seated up. One of the most famous bards in the world. You can see the heads of the Petrichor's Performers Association kind of grouped up there. This is a lot of people, and you have mostly performed in empty taverns and abandoned, ruined towers. And so this is a very different experience. But Ori, for you in particular, the attention almost overwhelming. You can feel every single eye on you. There are screams. This is like Elvis Presley walking out during his peak. There are shrieks, and there is, again, like another surge. You could hear, "We need more backup!" And like the fourth Jade Fang member comes out. You see from the door these wet little like footprints as like Perry the Grung. He's holding a beer, but he puts it down, and you can just hear him go, "Oh, I guess I'm working now." But like now, just holding the line. It takes extra security because, Ori, you are definitely attracting some attention. That 21 charisma coming in handy. But Wandering Hearts, you now stand on the stage, and as your turn is about to begin, because it is.
As we're out and settled,
yes,
and stationary, I'm going to cast Fog Cloud
centered
below us,
Okay.
so that way it comes up just to about maybe waist high.
Phenomenal. So you peer through the wooden floorboards of the stage. You can see empty space below, and you center Fog Cloud down there, and it comes up. And in this moment, the crowd kind of dies down because this mist just from between the floorboards. It is like right before like a heavy metal performance, this of like spray. And as the fog kind of fills the air, because it is 8:06 and a good place for us to take a break, we will step away for a quick 10-minute break, and we will come back when the timer runs down. And Wandering Hearts, you will begin round 1 of the Battle of the Bards. So thank you for joining us. We'll see you at the end of this countdown. Bye-bye. All right. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us through the break if you did. If not, welcome to D&D, although an unusual session of D&D for you to be joining. There's usually a lot more combat and a lot less singing. That being said, you have joined for the Battle of the Bards, and that is what you're getting. So, when we last left off, you saw the performance of the song called Feywild Candy Mountains that was sung by the local band Extended Rain, a sort of rustic band that uses things like jugs and washboards and banjos and a bass for all of their music. The barrel that somebody was wearing as clothing also seemed to double a little bit as an instrument. They got a fantastic response from the crowd. You saw the audience very enthused, and Ori recognized that the announcer, one of the judges, certainly seems to be a little bit weighted in their favor just initially. And so it is an uphill battle to continue to stay within the Battle of the Bards. But you all made your way onto the stage, and as you do, you see all these people, you see the judges up on the second floor, and at this moment, entering the scene, you can see a group of individuals that, for you, Valis, you are drawn to these sort of outfits that they're wearing. You can see this is probably the Choir of Awesome, as they all wear these sleek robes with the black X of the Awesome Lock across the chest. You can see the kind of green band of singular color going down the middle. The first person is a beautiful and delicate elf with white hair, fair skin, and eyes that smile around the edges, though in this moment a little bit more intense. She has these blue line tattoos from the tip of her nose that go up and then kind of split across in this like array across her forehead. And you can see following her an older elf woman, black hair, skin the color of concrete, almost like light gray, with many bracelets and bangles of silver with moonstones set in them. You see a wood elf with chestnut hair that rises up to a complex golden headdress like tree branches. And you see a towering, broad-shouldered high elf with long hair back in a bun. And you can see that there is a magical cloak that floats across their back. As they enter, you hear behind them, there is like music. And you see a few of them kind of cast their eyes. You had sort of intimated this, but as like you are getting ready to start, you can hear this huge drum steadily beating in the distance. For you, Alina, at first you're like, wait, is it the hunt? But very quickly, it is evident that it's not. You see a band is entering, and they use magic to amplify the sort of drum that is now banging by what at first looks like an 8-foot-tall goat person. Yes.
If they're gonna do this right when we're about to perform,
Yeah.
Can I get off a spell?
You certainly can.
I cast silence.
You absolutely can. Phenomenal. So you can see this is a huge band as the like doors kind of open. You can see there are 4 people, and the person in the lead is banging the drum. They are on. They must be on stilts. They're 8 feet tall. You can see they have this like goat face mask on. They're wearing this large cloak, and they are banging this drum. It is this ominous boom, 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 and then you see they continue, but there is no more sound as Billy kind of gestures and silence takes hold of the space. You can see they stop. The person behind them, they are a tiefling with dark skin, green tattoos of lizards and scale patterns on much of her body, bumps into them. You can see the person behind her, a halfling, short even for a halfling, large feet that almost seem to make up the difference in height, bumps into her, and then behind her you see a brass dragonborn dressed in all black leather armor, who is holding a lute, bumps into her, and it's just dun 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 dun. And you would imagine musically it would have made a very funny sound. But there within a silent circle, you hear none of it. You see they all look around confused. And
Get him,
Billy,
boys!
this goat mask looks around and then woof, locks eyes with you. You feel the shadows grow a little darker. You've made enemies.
Billy reciprocates by using the alter self to turn into a shadow.
Okay. So you turn into a shadow. There's cheers now from the crowd. There's oohs and ahs as this happens, and there is tension that is built up. But they scowl and they grovel.
Yeah, they do.
They growl a little bit and kind of make their way off and in towards the backstage.
I think at this point Minka would start glowing to kind of like set the.
Okay. And now you begin to
Dragon
glow.
form.
You hear in the crowd, this grunt goes, "Hey, she's glowing!"
And then, like, Billy gestures to Alina to start the beat, and, like, to everyone else, like, we've got them, let's go.
I dropped the beat.
See, the whole problem is that you've been hearing hand drum when you should have been doing is beatboxing.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So you have the floor. Absolutely, people begin to pay attention to you as Minka begins to glow, as the steam below up through the floorboards. Wandering Hearts, go ahead and perform for the Battle of the Bards.
As the music rises, like, Billy kind of, like, raises her hands up to, like, quiet the audience.
Okay.
And, like, once things, like, settle down a little bit, she begins. The light a dying ember, the fire, it's growing dim. I reach out for her fingers, and all I find is skin. Pause for each narrative moment.
So in this moment, as Billy is singing, you can see that off on the side, from both the sort of doorway that is open, the individuals who just made this big performance of walking in are now kind of gathered. Ori, with your passive perception, you especially, kind of looking through, holding the flute up to your lips, watching Billy a little bit, waiting for your cue, but you can't help but with your keen eye kind of glance at the door. You can see one of the tieflings setting like candles out on some of these tables, and they're very strange looking candles. They're dark. You can see there are these kind of like sigils and glyphs kind of entered into them. There is almost certainly, you've seen like Alina casting rituals. There are rituals happening in that room.
This is in the side room that
Correct.
we were in?
Absolutely.
Like just in the wing there.
No, in the actual like bar over there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
But no problem. That is what you notice. Is there anything that you're doing with that information? You're playing your flute, or you have your flute ready to play.
Rez is in there.
All right, so Rez is in there, and for you, as like Billy is singing, you're like excited. This is like an awesome experience. You're excited to tell people at Thornholm about this, and in fact, as you look out, you see one of the furbolgs from Thornholm is here. So people will have firsthand experience to bring back. You know, this story will be talked about for months, if not years. And then you kind of hear in the back of your mind, "Yo, Alina, there's some weird devil shit going on in here." Do you say anything?
Yeah.
Fuck him up,
Yeah,
Rez.
I do. Can I?
Go behind security.
So normally when we've always played it like when Alina sees and hears through Rez's senses that she
You go,
like
"Bleh."
flops, but
Yeah.
but that's not actually. So like that's more flavor. The way it actually works is everything else could stay the same, and I can just use his senses.
Yeah, your
so,
eyes kind of cloud over and you just
Yeah,
go into a senses. So you can do that.
just sight,
Sure.
so that I can still hear the cues and whatever. But I'm
No
gonna look
problem.
and see what I see.
So Alina, down on the ground.
No, I said that.
But how funny would it be if that's just what you chose to do? You're like, wait.
Is that the cue? Balance balls.
Everyone just like sinks below the
And
mist.
then Ori, not really understanding, just starts wailing.
Billy's just like, I guess we can go with this, like, zombie theme. Yeah, sure.
So, Alina, you close your eyes, you into Rez's, and you can see one of the tieflings, you can see that came in with the group. They have taken off the goat mask, the horns kind of sweep back, and at this moment they are like muttering. And if you are not hearing, you can't hear what it is, but they are like putting these black candles onto these spaces, kind of like forcing them down. The wax kind of smushes, and then they go about and kind of move on to the next surface, and they're creating a summoning circle. 1,000.
This is the same tiefling with tattoos.
This is
This is the goat tiefling.
goat tiefling.
The goat-faced mask man.
Yes.
Tiefling? Okay.
Goat face killer.
Okay.
So yeah, Alina's gonna be like,
What?
Dude, Rez, mess with them somehow. Buy time.
You got it. I'm gonna get some of the candles, I guess. I don't know. He flies over. Can you make a sleight of hand check for Rez? At advantage, as Rez is presumably invisible.
he is, and he got a 22 in his stealth check.
Very
Nice.
I thought it was 25 actually.
I said 25, and then I said, "Oh no,
wait.
I meant 22." Let's see. I think this is gonna be.
Sounds good, numbies.
Sounds good, numbies. 8. Oh, with advantage, 19.
19. With a 19, Rez just goes, all right, I got 2 of the candles. And just through your eyes, you see Rez's tiny little hands, invisible as they are, reach out and just pluck 2 of these candles straight off. The flames just go out as he does. And you can kind of see, like, the tiefling still setting them out, hasn't noticed this yet.
Okay.
And Rez just goes, what do I do with them?
Just hold on to them.
Stick them in the guy's face.
You can't hear
Wait,
her.
no, we're not next to each other, are we?
No.
So this all happens very quickly. No problem.
Can I do one more thing?
Sure.
Well, so I mean, the way I set it up here, it doesn't have to look like this, but I'm kind of next to Cheshire.
Sure.
So Alina's gonna sidle over to Cheshire while still maintaining the beat, and just like whisper into her ear, like,
So they're casting a summoning circle in that bar that we were just in.
Okay. You say that over to Cheshire.
Relaying that telepathically to everybody except Billy, because I don't want to figure it out yet.
And so, Billy, as you start your next kind of verse, you look around and all of the rest of your team is kind of exchanging glances. And that's not normal.
Can I look up at Hearsome to try to get his attention?
Next round you can. Billy, go ahead.
Alone I crawl to my bed. Alone I fall to sleep. I dream of finding her arms and falling wholly in.
You can see the tiefling kind of finishes through Rez's eyes, like putting up all of these different candles. They turn around and they kind of scowl and they look and they go, no way, I remember putting those up. And he kind of goes back around, kind of walking over and looks like under the table, looks behind this barrel, can't seem to find the candles. And he turns around and he just goes, hey, lizard, have you seen the candles? I need to summon the shadows, like now. And kind of like goes back. Rez goes, hey, he's summoning shadows. And that is what's going on over there. You look up. Make a insight check as you look up. Very hard to read is Hearsome. And Hearsome is at this moment. How much?
Natural 20.
He's too handsome to fail.
Either way. But in this moment, you look
the
out.
eyebrow really helps.
You see, there is this like very tall Goliath in the front row. They're kind of blocking people, and you can see you lock eyes with him. And in this moment, he looks behind him, he looks at you, he looks behind him, and he goes, oh, and pushes his own head down to give you a clearer view. Yeah, you can see a bunch of other people go, the handsome guy's trying to look. And they like push each other away. You get a really clear look through the crowd.
Excellent.
And you
Then
can
I'm
see
going to. Oh, if yeah, I want to see what Hearsome.
You can see Hearsome is looking over. He's regarding them. He's not very impressed by like what the other group has done. He's very interested in what Billy is doing. Very much like paying attention to Billy
Good.
at
So
this moment.
all the judges are still focused on the performance.
Yeah,
Don't
very
let
much.
Okay. I'm going to avert my gaze from the audience now that they seem to be watching what I'm doing. I'm going to point my gaze in the direction of where this ritual circle is happening and be like,
You do your best. You direct all of your attention over, and you can hear from the front, he's got such a cool look. Everybody copy him. And now Billy is in the front row. It is like 30 or 40 people just going as hard as they can at you. And then you turn and you can see Ori giving you the exact same look before he just shakes his head and like changes his expression. But no problem, Ori, you have the command of the attention. And for what it's worth, everybody's now following your gaze and looking at Billy.
Okay.
And so,
Wait,
like,
is that what you wanted?
during the practice
No,
performance
but-
that Goddesses Cheshire was
So who are
hoping
you looking at?
I was trying
to
to look
blend
at the...
everything together
Oh, sorry.
and make it a performance.
Yes.
Doing that again.
Okay. So make a performance check, Cheshire, as you go ahead and blend the dog, the sort of fog that
The
is
dog
coming
hasn't
up.
come on yet.
Okay, the fog that is coming up from the kind of baseboards, the slight glow that is coming from behind you from Minka, or from the side of you from Minka.
33.
And with the
Starfinder
33,
numbers.
you pull this fog around you, causing almost like a cyclone of wisp to form like an aura over top each person. The glow from Minka diffuses across each of yours, and so you each kind of glow, almost like the highlighted characters within the space.
If no one's going to actually do the thing that I wanted them to do,
Sure.
can I just scooch up to the edge of the stage here
Yeah.
and kick the guy in, like, just lightly in the shoulder to get his attention and be like, someone's gonna fuck up our performance back at the stage. They're making a ritual.
Make a persuasion check, and this persuasion check is really less you trying to persuade him and more you in the midst of a performance trying to do this communication in a way that actually makes sense.
He is pretty handsome.
What does that mean?
It's a lot of faces.
Do your math.
Dirty 20? I have to look because I got fucking, new
Was
stats.
persuade-
A
are
dirty
you,
20.
Are you
It's
proficient in
persuasion.
persuasion?
No, I'm not proficient.
Score is like what, a plus
persuasion,
5
but I have
because
a
you're
plus
effectively
5,
a
yeah.
21. Yeah.
So with a dirty 20, you like go and you tap this person on the shoulders. It's hard to understand. People are cheering. Billy is singing. There's music playing. But in this moment, he just puts a hand, like stiff arms are growing down, and leans all the way over to like listen to what you're saying.
They're doing a ritual at the back of the stage. Go fucking at the bar.
He turns and he goes, "Sorry, man, magic's not illegal." And he turns and he goes back and he
Trying
like
to fuck up
pushes the
our
drum down. He turns. You get his attention. He turns. He nods. His attention like is through the door, but he doesn't move to stop them. They're not doing anything that has like drawn his attention yet. But you have directed their attention that way. Yeah.
Should I? Sorry, maybe I'll wait until the next.
Okay.
verse.
No worries. So next verse.
Billy kind of like slowly drops the altered self, like shadow in like waves, and then holds out a hand behind her as she sings to like signal the dog to come in from
Okay.
behind. And then she finishes with the last verse and the chorus. I walk the path of darkness. I walk the path alone. The black dog on my shoulder whispers I'm dead and gone, blood and bone.
Okay, so as you start like singing and the dog like leaps up, Cheshire uses elements of the fog to like lift the dog. So when you say it's on your shoulder, for everybody in the audience, it truly looks like this massive beast is just carried on your back and on your shoulder. There is symbology there. It is beautiful when combined with the music. Minka glows from behind, and so it's like the shadow crosses into the light. There's all this meaning that can be derived from this. This is the kind of performance that scholars take apart, and they're like, the shadows being half on their face and half off their face is symbolic of the communist uprising of the 50s. It like people will because it is just so meticulously perfect, and in many ways also just effortless. And Ori, you can like feel behind you. This is a spectacular performance. Whatever's happening off in the distance, you almost don't want people's attention to be diverted away from this, because the crowd is drinking this in. You glance up again and you can see Hearsome is almost like standing, leaning over. Silefer, the kind of spore lord, the individual mycelia, kind of glowing with a similar light for Minka's now. You can see even for Nestra, this oaken princess who is usually reclined in this very like Romanesque style and had been across multiple seats, is now kind of standing, eyes still sleepy but very much engaged. Anybody doing anything after that verse?
The song's not done yet, right?
It's just got a chorus left.
Okay. I'm taking back my dumb idea.
Okay, you take back your dumb idea. That's a free action.
I think at this point, Cheshire told everyone that there's something shadows.
Yes.
So I think Minka's just gonna like thinking about the shadows that we fought in the past. She's
Sure.
gonna just like look over the audience, looking for like those pits of darkness.
Make a perception check.
27.
With a 27, you look and you see everything. In this moment, your glance goes from face to face. You see like rapturous joy. You see somebody crying a little bit. There are like all these different expressions people are feeling for each person. People are like really connecting with this music. If LiveJournal existed in this world, you would almost certainly like go home, go on LiveJournal. People would be like, wow, this song was written for me. Like people really connecting to this in different ways. This means something for them. This will probably be like a soundtrack to their lives. And you can like read that on each person's face. You see a turtle down like the wrinkles. They're like crying and they're clutching like this little hat that almost certainly doesn't belong to them. You can see like there is just all this like grief that is being experienced and relieved here. And you don't see any shadows. You don't see any unnatural dark pits that would reference any kind of shadows that have been summoned yet.
Okay.
But with that check, you do see through the door the individual who is referred to as Lizard, the female halfling with these kind of scale-like tattoos, has placed 2 replacement black candles down in this space. And you can see the other tiefling at this kind of like reprimanding her a little bit, but beginning to light these candles. In your mind, Delina, you can hear Rez go, "They're lighting the candles! I don't think I can stop it."
Okay, do I ruin the performance by doing something real dumb? I don't want to.
Mentally, Chester's like, do you need to run off? Like, do you need to disappear?
I'm good. And she is going to telepathically, she's going to respond to Rez.
Okay.
We're gonna do the thing. Just intimidate them. Don't kill anybody. Just intimidate them to stop, and then just like kick the candles over.
All right, we're gonna do the thing.
So we're doing the thing.
All right,
And
head of
she casts,
security time.
Empower Fiend.
Okay, so in this moment, you cast Empowered Fiend. You kind of clutch the object that you need to be able to cast it, and in this moment, you feel as if there is something that limits Rez and makes him almost banishable back into this demiplane break. And there is not that same control. There is not the same limitation. And in the distance, over everything, you could hear over the cheers and the kind of like people just like crying in the front row, and Billy who kind of bursts out into the chorus. And I would say, Billy, make a performance check, because all of a sudden, how well you perform keeping people's attention matters a lot more.
So sorry.
Because in the back, you just can hear as
done.
Rez telepathically, but also out loud goes, "Oh yeah," and just like begins to grow.
And Alina's like, shh, shh, telepathically. Like,
Is this like the big check? Like, see how high you can get it?
No.
Joe? No, okay.
It's still good to get it high.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna save my bardic.
Okay.
That is 26.
With a 26, much closer than you are probably imagining. But as you begin to break into the chorus, you've already captured people's attention. You hear in the back of your ears, through this doorway, the voice of Rez get larger and deeper, and you can hear, "Oh yeah," as this happens. But you capture everybody's attention. Nobody else turns. You can see people in there kind of reacting as
Hey Joe, is
you
Cy-
place Rez.
yay!
Big red.
Big Rez has grown quite large here. There's the close-up camera if you want to hold him under there.
Big
There
Red.
you go. Big Rez.
Look at him go.
And he just up and he
No more
kicks
tiny
one of
Rez.
these tables, and the table just cracks in half. The candle goes flying, and you can hear him just go, "Oh no!" The wings out, and all the candles just go out. Things fall off the table. You can see Rez just goes, "Stop!" And doesn't take any attention away from Billy, who performs sharply and uses the music to sort of like interfere with the individual words. You hear in your mind at this moment, "It's working, Alina!" But no problem. Billy, go ahead and what is the chorus for the song?
Blood and bone, lost in the long night. Blood and bone, under the evil eye. And then it just kind of fades away.
Okay, it fades away in that moment. This shadowy dog kind of like tilts his head up in the sort of gesticulation of a howl. The fog kind of rises up. Minka, you can glow brighter if you want to kind of cause this almost like strobes behind each of you to form these like dark kind of things that way. You rise up, no problem.
The
And
reason
in
why I
this
have
moment-
a fluffy gauzy is because it distributes the light.
In this moment, can everybody make a performance check, and we will take the highest result.
Is this the one where we really need to do
This
a
is
good
the one
job?
where you really want to do a good job.
So
You don't need to succeed at anything. It could just be a really short campaign.
Ooh, did you get a natural 20?
I did.
The sparklest.
Sparkling.
And you rise up, and in this
Mom would be
moment,
so
Minka,
proud.
almost unbidden, you think about your mom. You think about the memories of being back in the Enclave and of seeing the stars explode across the sky. And in this moment, the light that spreads out behind you is not just a single light, but it is many. It is thousands, and you can see just individual points of light represented across this space. Starlight expands across, and the only thing that is not lit, almost perfectly calculated, is Billy, who is just alone and dark in the center. And it drives the point of the entire song home, and it is sad. People cheer, people are crying. There's like full on like people blubbering. You see a turtle in the front row, their arms and legs tucked in, their like head tucked in, and the shell just rocking back and forth. It's like devastating for people, but absolutely you have nailed this. And in this moment, as like the crowd cheers, you see Linus kind of return. He looks annoyed. In that, you get the sense that you've done pretty well. But he steps out onto the stage, sort of with all the rest of the sort of stuff happening. Just,
I tell Rez to go invisible.
you see, he just goes, stop! And he just, goodbye! And you can hear, even over like the cheers of the crowds, and the crowd like going wild at this. Give me 1 second. It's no longer a happy crowd. It is now also a crowd that's socializing.
I thought you were going to say a crowd that's crying and sad, and I was like, oh.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
It's a happy cry. We don't know how to feel. The last song was so happy and joyful, and now this one is so depressing, and I feel like I should draw selfies of myself, but with a lot of charcoal.
But
Everyone needs a hug.
in the eulogy tournament of Lord Artasis, this is something where, you know, it was meant to be a little bit sad. And so absolutely here,
This looks like your dude's dead.
in this moment, people are certainly, I'm going to turn off our cheering crowd. The cheering kind of
Where
dies
are the
down.
tears? The tearing crowd.
They're happy
The
that their
tears
grief
flow.
is being released.
It's catharsis.
Yes.
Linus to the steps out onto the stage. They hold their hands out and they say, please, everybody, your attention. It is my duty as a judge to announce the results of round 1. And there is, like, again, just loud cheering. And you can hear there is no small amount of chants of wandering heart. And he has to really get people to stop. And at the end, he goes, please, I said be quiet. And he, like, straightens out his jacket a little bit. And he says, without further ado, the winner of match 1, round 1, the Wandering Hearts. And like he says it very quietly, but it's immediately just lost in loud cheers. There is just this huge, almost just people cheer and like go wild. You can hear some smiles down at all of you and kind of bows. He turns and gestures to Venestra and Silafer, who both stand up as they begin to exit and probably make their way to the next place. They're actually like Silafer and Venestra not staying around for this performance. Hearsome sits back down, has to actually judge the next performance. But yeah, people absolutely going wild in this moment. Off in the distance here, Rez from here says, people are coming in to get drinks. What do I do? You can see the tieflings are sitting around. They're like wide-eyed looking around, and the tiefling who had the goat mask on pulls it all the way off. And he goes, did you fucking see that? That was real. That was a real demon. That really happened. Look at the book. It actually worked that time. It's never worked before. It's always been an illusion. And you can see the tiefling who has these lizard scales goes, an illusion? This whole time the shadows have been an illusion. And he goes, yes, you're focusing on the wrong things. We summoned a real demon this time. We can really do it. And they begin to go around. He goes, set the candles up again. We're going to go again. And they begin to like grab the candles and go up. You hear in your mind, Oh, Melina.
Yeah.
I think these guys are fakes.
I mean, at least we finally got to let you loose. How does it feel?
It feels really good, except for the fact that now I'm really big and people are coming in the room. And you see the doors open, people are going in, cheering, people are drying their eyes. They go up and keep one for the, and Rez just crowds his way into the corner.
So Alina's like, all right, buddy, we'll do it again real soon. And she's going to drop concentration on the spell.
Okay.
So he's just a little guy again.
Oh, man.
Sorry, buddy. All right, why don't you hide in the rafters like you did before?
Very sad.
And go invisible, because I didn't say that out loud, and I want you to nail me on that.
Still invisible from the larger form.
Billy's seen how performances work. She bows to the judges and to the crowd as the applause goes on and the winners are announced, and then she gestures off stage to call the
Oh, okay.
Extended rain.
No worries. So you go ahead. You call extended rain.
To be classy like that.
They come out, and you can see the halfling hooks their thumbs in their suspenders. They bow with all of you, and they lean over and they say, "Hey, that was a swell performance. Thank you for that fine competition."
You as well.
They turn, they gesture, and they say, "I'm going to take you up on your advice. We're sleeping outside tonight. Need skin like that." They turn and they say,
"It's almost distracting, right?"
It's not almost. He's gorgeous.
Stop.
You see a man like that, you're not paying attention to the performance. Beg pardon. Beautiful song. You're looking at that face, those cheekbones, those eyes. Dare I say that grin? And I'll be around. I'll make sure that I support you all from the stands for the second round. Great job.
Shaking hands.
Yeah, shake hands, you shake hands. The Eric Coker's the only one that's kind of yeah, I guess. But everybody else, super happy to be there, super happy to do that.
Billy puts on a glove and shakes hands with the crowd and gets the glove off.
No problem. They actually don't shake hands. They go ahead and they do a little elbow bump for all of you.
Oh, there you go.
But no problem. You all kind of exchange pleasantries with extended rain. Nice. And you make a very positive connection with that band. Good work, Billy.
Best friends. Yay, baby.
I know how to fake it.
If we make it off stage,
If
we make it off stage,
roll for initiative.
I think Minka would go and hug Billy and be like, "You did so good," and then be like, "Yay!" and then be like, "Oh, was that too much?"
A little bit, yeah.
I'm sorry.
That was very well played.
Don't worry, everything is too much for her.
That is also true. So, with everything being too much for Billy, the crowd almost certainly kind of overwhelming. Are you guys all kind of lurk backstage? As you sort of make your way back there, you see Extended Rain makes their way back out to the bar and kind of post up there, having a couple of drinks. You could join them in that kind of side room and listen from there, or you could join the main crowd and kind of see the next performance, or you could just kick rocks, get out of here, go spend the next hour or two doing something different.
The Austin
Probably back to the bar.
choir is up.
The Austin Choir and
you can see that now getting onto stage, the Austin Choir, they're already waiting in the wings. Mm-hmm. They didn't have to do any kind of preparation. They're ready to go. You can see there is a group of 2 tieflings, a dragonborn, and I believe a halfling who are all sort of just gathered around now, furiously lighting and relighting candles. They are rearranging them into different shapes. You can see they seem kind of upset. But Minka, with your previous check, you see in the dark kind of spaces of this room, there are the illusions of shadows. They have certainly managed to cast the spell that they were trying to cast before. There is no real demon that has come.
Okay.
But you sort of see that, and you can see one of the tieflings just keeps going, and just keeps gesturing to this empty space where there is nothing. Whatever they were trying to do doesn't seem to have worked. And then the crowd presses in, and you kind of lose sight of them amidst the people kind of getting new beers and making their way back out into the Rose Theater.
They were the last band, right?
Correct. They were the last ones to arrive. They were going to distract everybody, and then Billy silenced them. Which is a great move. Flawless execution.
I think Minka would try to
be classy.
a spot to watch the awesome choir because we're going to be going up against them most likely.
Sure. So there's like a long table in the corner of this bar room, and if you post up on one side there, you can look through the door and kind of watch the scene from like as far off in the corners and the shadows as you would. Unfortunately, maybe some things got rowdy yesterday. The table is broken in half, but aside from that, you can sit there and kind of just.
Is it a wooden table?
It is.
What are the chances of me just kind of druid crafting it back together in like a really awkward way?
Make an Arcana check. You go over, you kind of gently put your hand together. The table is literally broken inwards in the middle, so it's like folded down like this. The strongest part of the wood has been shattered.
Is rocks more Minka's strong suit for druid crafting?
Arcana?
Yeah.
4.
You look at this and you think, this is just wood. You can join it together, no problem. So you druid craft and roots begin to sprout. And they go into the floor and you're like, I was trying to join it together and the stone kind of cracks. And now the roots begin to kind of break up the floor a little bit.
Okay.
And you stop because it's not... Organic things are not the easiest to control. They don't have rigid crystalline structures like stones do. They just kind of move.
I'm not that kind of druid.
Yeah.
Billy sits down like at the other side of the table, the stumptle.
Sure.
And just like puts a hand on it and says, guess I'm getting a lot of use out of this over the last 24 hours, mending.
You mend it. It has been slightly druid crafted, so it doesn't come back straight. Now it is sort of like a little tent of a
It's
table.
a live edge table, you know? It's handcrafted.
A plate on it will stay. If you put like a full glass on it, it starts to tilt a little bit. So you have to be kind of tactical now about how you use it, but it's a functional table.
And leans down and gets the stone.
Now the table kind of falls flat, and it's functional again. It's unique.
I will just sit at the edge though and just watch the performance.
Where did my die go?
I guess
It's
Minka
worth
and
the fog cloud is still in place.
Okay.
I guess Minka and I are gonna hang out and watch the performances. Does anyone else want to join?
I'm hanging out with you.
It lasts for an hour.
Don't roll
Phenomenal.
and miss the tower.
Billy would drop silence by this point.
Okay. You drop silence. Sometimes Dan will roll his dice into his dice tray, and the
Sometimes.
dice will hit the center of the tray, not touch a single part of the tray because of how crowded it is in there, and then just ricochet off into the darkness because there's like boosters in there. It's like a jump pad. It's wild. So that's what we need for the Patreon is a tour of people's dice trays.
Yeah.
Dan's is not safe for work.
That's for the OnlyFans.
Yeah. So you can see the choir of Awesome kind of make their way out there.
I would like to make my way to the front of the stage to get a better view.
Make an athletics check. It's not super crowded, but the moment that you step out into the room, you are mobbed. And like people touching you, prodding you, kind of like trying to touch your hair, your cheekbones.
Pardon me.
People are like kind of pulling you off to one
Excuse
side.
me, I just need to get through.
Yeah, like it, but you don't with a 16. People mob you, and you cannot make your way through.
On my way
I want to
through,
go ride the crowd.
I would have.
Make a performance check.
And
I would like to try.
are you in here?
As I'm going past the
I'm
group
in
that I
there.
saw
Sure.
fucking with the ritual, I just want to go up to them and like kind of get their attention through. You know.
You make your way into this room. You are mobbed by people. You turn. Your path has been cut off. What was your performance check?
30.
And there is just a solid block of people there, all reaching for you, and then you see Cheshire just float, just like a leaf on water across this impediment to you, and
This
just
is my
surf
natural
over
habitat.
to the.
I guess I'm just going to politely ask the people in front of me if I can get through. Excuse me, I really would like to get to the front there. I'd like to get a good view.
There's a turtle who puts a hand on your shoulder and he goes, "Hey, I've got a way around. I can get you there. Come on, follow me." And he kind of pulls you away. You go with him? He's going away from that door.
Yeah, I think so.
Where are you going?
I'm taking you to the back. You married fella.
No, I'm going to the front.
Yeah, no, we're going to the front. Trust me.
He's telling the the truth about going to the front.
Do we need to go on a side mission to
23.
rescue Ori?
The two of you are
Again.
talking about different things. And he's
Jump
mindfully doing it.
back
He's
to
not
the
strong enough.
fucking
He's like
mansion.
just a guy. He's not strong enough to push you if you want to stop.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going away. I'm
You
going to the
stop-
front
you
of the
dig your
stage.
heels in, you stop, and then almost immediately there's a tiefling in the crowd, and they grab you by the hand, and they say, "No, he's staying with me!" And she pulls you in and kind of anchors you by the side. The turtle just kind of lets go and just says, "You'll wish you had me when I left." And he like turns and kind of stomps out. But you like are really having trouble. You're kind of stuck here until the end of the performance.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
see this.
you do.
I'm gonna go rescue Ori.
Okay, you go over.
Honey!
You have to like almost mindlessly as you are walking by, you feel as part of the crowd a need to kind of raise your hands up and you kind of support something and then move your way back. You don't realize it, but Cheshire just like surfs across you and you assist in this process, and then you kind of step over to Ori. What are you doing to rescue Ori?
Feel a little bit of.
I'm gonna look back at our table and touch Ori, along with everyone else, and then Ori, you get a sense that you can just be right there right now. Do you want to?
Well, I wanted to be at the front of the audience to get a good view, but I guess I'll go sit at the broken fucking table.
All right,
So
listen,
you
it has
turn
character.
and you back over right as Billy mends the stones on the table, back down the street.
I'm gonna say out loud, "Oh, way to go!"
And you make a deception check, Alex. Your best stat as a paladin.
I have advantage because of Eagle Splendor, and that is gonna be a. Thank goodness for that. What is this again?
Deception.
Oh, I've been watching Ori do this. 22.
You see the tiefling turns. She snaps at everybody to get their attention, and then just goes, "Check the storeroom." Like 15 people rush, stampede out. You can see there is this big Goliath who's kind of near the exit. They almost get trampled. Like they barely stand their ground as people just rush over, and they head over to like this room over here. People begin to go through like buckets and barrels, old costumes and props, like just digging through. People are like kind of now getting like a little lost in it and dressing up and things. So there's just stuff happening over here.
There's just
But
like
no problem.
that's
Chaos!
I feel like that's kind of how most shows go. Is that you have the openers that people are like, yeah, we're here. We got here early before they got too shit-faced. And then you have that group of people that just kind of veer off.
Yes, you guys are part of that.
Yeah.
You absolutely now, the crowd wound up, for sure. Many of you make your way over there. Or you can see the tieflings, the halfling, and, the dragonborn kind of frustratedly gathering up these candles, and they're beginning to make their way backstage. You do have a moment to talk to them if you want.
I just want to go over and say, good luck.
You turn over and you can see this human. They're bald, they're a little pudgy, they've been standing on stilts, and the stilts have hooves on the bottom to look, they're like an average sized guy, but they look like a really tall goat person. And as you approach, they pull this mask back down. He turns and he says, "Mephisto commands." Holy shit. Let's go. Then he goes, "You're really handsome."
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. What's your name? And he turns and he goes, "Just wait for me backstage." And he kind of leans over against it, and he leans and puts a hand out, and he goes, "They call me Mephisto, but Leonard."
Leonard.
Shakes her hand. Leonard Godson.
Ah, nice to meet you, Leonard.
He shakes your hand. He says, "Very nice to meet you." He holds it for like a long time.
Don't you need to get ready for your performance?
Oh, we perform all the time.
It would be very nice to be able to perform with you later at the second round. So you should really focus on beating the Awesome Rock Choir.
He smiles and he says, "What about a third round?"
Well, we beat.
We'll see how the first two go, I suppose.
How much in earshot are we to this happening?
Yeah, you hear this is happening like 20 feet away from you.
I think Minka just will like slowly look towards Ori and just be like, like just start mouthing like.
I think he's doing well.
Should we?
I'm not sure what he's trying to do, but I think it's like
We're staying in the tower.
Let him cook.
Here's my room number. And he slides you a piece of parchment.
You really should focus on the performance, I think. If you want to be in the
He
second
leans in
round.
closely to you and he says, "This one's for you." And he gives you a little peck on the cheek.
Oh.
He blushes deep red. And you hear him just go, and he runs off into the back. You see the other tiefling with like the
Awfully
lizards
cool.
tattooed high fives him as he goes back there, but they just run around the corner. And no problem.
Sometimes
Well-
my lips get stuck on my teeth, and Billy's like teeth are just like.
You know, Ori, you can tell people that you don't like it when they talk to you like that. You know, it doesn't, you don't have, just because, like, you're really handsome right now doesn't mean you have to let people treat you this way. It's okay.
Oh, I had him in the palm of my hand,
Okay.
Minka.
Okay. I just want to check in. You know, you've been having a lot of interactions with people today, and
It seems to be that way, yes.
Posting.
You can see on the stage at this moment the Ausenlock Choir has made their way over. Linus has been kind of like announcing them as you all engage in tomfoolery within this room. And
As
you
we
can
do.
see they are a number of individuals. You had kind of clocked them previously. Valis, a quartet of elves who all are wearing these sort of robes of the Ausenlock. And in this moment, they begin to sing. And the voices that they have are unnaturally, almost ethereal. Give me 1 second. Let me turn the music down just a tiny bit.
We just cued into how sinister this music is.
Rain choir.
Well, I mean, if they're like a choir, I didn't know if they were gonna be like almost like really intense choirish or like.
I was thinking
Like-
more of like a, you know.
It is very
religious
much like
choir.
that. They stand
Yeah.
The
very,
Toad
very
Choir.
upright. You can see they clasp their hands just exactly at belly level, and they begin to sing. And it is low, and it is dolorous, and it is beautiful, almost ethereal voices that together create. First, you hear very clearly voices, but then it's almost like they shift and become like a string orchestra. It is this beautiful sound that just there's been cheering and crying and laughing, and now there is just silence. People are stunned by this performance, and this is not just voices. You feel, for those of you who are more arcanically inclined, so everybody but Ori, you can feel magic just reverberating through the air. This is an awe-inspiring performance. The voices start low, they rise, they appear to peak, and then continue to rise and build. And then the final voice, the fourth person, has not been singing for this entire performance. They are added in at the very end. It is a low voice that is a strong bass that seems to almost lift the high notes higher. This is a crescendo that leaves only the bass voice at the very end, a powerful, simple end that reverberates in the body. And they make a performance check. No, they only roll a 12 for a total of 32. As this is a stunning performance of the Symphony of Sensation. As they sing, you can feel at the edges of your periphery tastes and sounds and smells that are not here. It is just like you are experiencing this ghostly sort of story. And at times you feel as if you are outside and inside, but always in this gray and bleak environment. And it is sad, and it is cold, and it is a little bit chilling. And as the performance kind of winds down to the end, is there anything that anybody is doing to affect this? Yes.
Is this talent or is this magic?
Make a Arcana check.
No fucking clue.
Trials, make the same check.
Yeah.
Are they doing anything fucky and shady?
Hard to tell. That question.
It's
Like,
music.
Are they all just doing this, or are any of them doing anything that's like...
We
No.
did magic during
With your
our
eye for
performance.
detail,
It's not like
they
it's out of bounds.
barely move their bodies.
are,
They
like,
do
magic
very
of our,
minimal.
like,
And
singing
you get the sense, or make an
Is
insight
part
check.
of the like
Make an insight check.
part of their magic?
Valis, what was your Arcana check?
No.
Okay.
Natural 20.
I
Very
got 22.
So
Cheshire
for
accomplished
the two of you, no real idea, but for you, Cheshire, there is magic at work here. Infused into the voices of these people, almost as if the voices themselves are active and living spells. There is magic that reverberates from their throats and into the very sort of fiber of the weave that is around all things here. This is an intensely powerful quartet of magic users who are also classically trained musicians who are incredibly well versed in their craft. You are seeing a blend of magic and performance that is seamlessly integrated, and not in the way that requires like smoke shows and lights and all of that. This is just music, and there is something very impressive about that. Not visually as stunning, maybe. For you, Ori, with a natural 20, with that as a insight check, and you're trying to determine if they are doing anything fucky.
Are those the words you would like to use?
Anything about their mannerisms that would indicate some sort of amplified ability, because I know that magic exists.
With a natural 20, you know so little about magic, but you know a lot about people. When you are looking at 4 people who are not in any way engaged, they are relaxed, they are warming up right now. You have not seen them use, when you think about magic, you know that some people have these things called cantrips. This is what you are looking at.
Okay.
This is the Symphony of Sensation, and you remember all at once. You have heard, maybe in your studies or somewhere back home, this group famous for 3 pieces in particular, none of which are called the Symphony of Sensation. They are called the Symphony of a Helper's Hope, the Toccata Soprano, and the Serenade of Stars. And those are all songs that have just powerful magic ramifications that are almost dangerous, if not for the proper precautions.
What we are likely up against.
But they play this very simple for them song, and it blows people away. The performance is absolutely astounding. People are left stunned when they finish. There is a full, probably 5 or 6 seconds of just silence before people just lose their minds and start cheering. People sob. It's a very similar reaction to Billy.
They're quite good.
This would have probably been very close to a tie had you performed against them. But they make their way off, kind of cracking their necks now, cracking their fingers. They've warmed up, and they make their way, not off in the backstage, but straight through the crowd. People stand aside, kind of part for them. There's gravity to these individuals. And you can see Linus kind of stands respectfully aside, lets them pass, and then makes his way back up onto stage.
Do they just straight up leave?
They just straight up left.
They straight up leave, yeah.
Bye! We know what we're about, son.
They presume to have won, and they leave. There is no they go back
Now
and they
I
watch
really
from the
want
back.
these motherfuckers
You
to
see,
win.
they walk out the doors open and shut, and then you hear a secondary set of doors open and shut, and the rain outside as they just leave. They're done, and they are convinced that they have won.
But even if you
I
want, don't
want
you want
these
to know the details?
fucking assholes to lose so bad. Ooh, or he's ooh.
And from the crowd, all you're
These
hearing
fucking-
is wow, and you can hear somebody go, "That's so cool," and people blown away by that. That is more points for their favor. But you can hear now Linus's voice announce the next band, this new band that is called Aldwin Sinks. And you now see the group that Ori, as you see them introduced, you can see the guy who has the goat mask pull the goat mask just a little bit and just kind of blow you a kiss and then pull it back down.
It's not these guys. They're trying to do something fucky.
They make their way out onto this show, and you can see they're wearing this goat mask. They go out, and they begin to play. There is this really intense, the Dragonborn has taken the bass drum now, and they beat this very slow, intense beat that is just this almost similar to what they had tried to walk into before Billy had silenced them. They have 3 lutes, and they begin to play the lutes, and then almost after the first sort of loop of music, there is a spell that is cast. For those of you who are arcanically gifted, this is very similar to thaumaturgy, and the lutes transition into this almost heavy metal sound. And this is a death metal band. The song that they sing is called The Raven Queen. It speaks about a flock of ravens that darkens the sky. There are all these like super dark lyrics about like death. It's very on theme. But in this moment, you can see, and they have like, they do the first kind of like chorus, and you can see there are, there is like shadows that flicker and contort behind them, and you can see there's like a shadow of a towering woman with broad shoulders and like this feathered mask. But in this moment, they keep looking around, and they're waiting for something to happen. And this throws their musicianship off just a little bit, because Alina, you know that they are looking for this demon that they are convinced that they summoned, and they want this creature to come back, and they're waiting. Like there is this expectation, this hope, and slowly as this like music goes on, a little fear that it won't happen.
Should I send little rats out?
Oh no, I think Kara has.
Kara.
I've got minor illusion, Joe.
Yeah.
Minor illusion, like just like the overarching shadow of a devil that like looms over the back of them,
Sure.
and then bursts into like a cloud of ravens that scatters across the scene.
Okay, sure, no problem. You cast minor illusion. Make a performance check.
While this is occurring, I just want to go and be like, "Oh my gosh, Alduin, sing!"
Make a persuasion check at advantage.
16.
A 16. Suddenly, aside from just this shadow, the shadow goes realer and more dark. Yes?
22.
With a 22, you shout this out, and at the moment that this individual just starts shouting out in this like death metal, like through the goat mask, like this death metal tiefling voice, you see Billy cast minor illusion, and suddenly the giant res figures, you all see like the bulbous sort of body but much larger wings of a res like figure as this shadowy form, and then out into all these ravens as they say my prayer to the Raven Queen, and they just kind of go out perfectly timed, and you see this incredibly handsome person just say, "Aldwin sings," and people lose their shit. They were like a little thrown off, and the musicianship not great to begin, but you rally them, you really draw them in. And Billy and Ori, can each of you roll a d20, and this is going to represent Aldwin Singh's performance check at advantage.
I hope yours rolled better than mine.
Is it my performance or
No,
just the
what's
flat?
on the 20.
It's a 10.
Shit, mine's a 4.
And even with your help,
Damn.
every now and then you see the shadow come up, and you see the light across the tiefling, across the dragonborn, the halfling, the goat mask, just the same expression because it's a mask, but you see like the body expression changes, and then it
No, they're losing it.
into ravens. Everybody in the crowd, oh, whoa, whoa. Everybody on stage deflates a little bit. It's not really the demon. They can't quite bring back the energy that they had because they were on the cusp of something that they've been trying to do for years. That was such a brilliant strategy, and it really throws them off. They never really can get into their music, and ultimately, there is no question. The cheers aren't anywhere near as loud. Linus comes up, and he can easily say, "Well, I believe the results of this competition go without saying, but the results from the judges are in, and the results speak for themselves. The choir of Austin," and like there is cheers, there is kind of like this bright light that kind of flashes on the stage, but the stage is empty, and there is like kind of confused clapping,
Not classy.
and then general cheers, and then Linus begins to talk about, "If you are attending the second round, it begins in 1.5 hours. Please visit the bar off in the corner," and he gestures over, "and remember, tip your servers." And he like, you know, kind of like does this little like thing. You are all over in the corner and are mobbed by people who come over, and especially for Ori, but really for all of you, for you, Billy, as the primary kind of singer, people come up, like want to shake your hand. Maybe the first couple times it's okay, but then you see like this really large human who's like, "Hey, can I have a hug?"
We should go. We should probably go, right?
Make an intimidation check.
We really need to get to the next venue.
I just want everyone at the table to know, because I rolled well. But my intimidation is higher than my performance.
Nice.
That's a 24.
You can see he just goes, "It's just my dog died recently," and then you just like stare at him and he goes, "Never mind."
Can I try something?
He
I wanna-
turns and he just
I'll
goes,
give you a
"Everybody,
hug."
just give the group some space." He kind of ushers people away. Yeah.
I want to just tap Billy's shoulder. If it's too much, we could switch.
Oh.
And then if you turn around and look, and like you can see my skin kind of start to shift.
Actually shifts into Valis.
So I'll just
And then when people switch over, no problem. And Alice, all of a sudden, people are coming up to you and just saying, "Your song was so inspiring. I've lost somebody recently, and this moved me. I think I want to do something with my life and really honor them." And they put like their hand on their shoulder, and like you get all this great feedback now. Billy, you listen to this, and it's much more comfortable.
Yes,
You're-
so much better back here.
You are a backseat praise receiver for sure. And this is great because now you can just kind of drink. Nobody bothers you.
Exactly. This is
And you watch everybody just go bother Valis. Valis not doing the best job being Billy. There's a lot of thanks. Like really weird seeing Valis' expression on Billy's face. You look over at Valis and Valis just goes,
turns around back and
There's like a disgusted impression that's just like also smug on Valis's face as Valis is just like
This is weird. This is a weird day.
We should probably go.
"The Wandering Hearts."
It's gonna get weirder.
It is about 12:30, and you know the next performance at 2:00. You have an hour and a half. You have time to rest if that is something that you are interested in. You have time to obtain supplies. You could go ahead of time to the stage and, do whatever you want to do to prepare there. What are you all interested in doing?
I find the guy whose dog died and I hug him.
You hug this guy. You kind of hug him from behind. He
Everything's
stops.
gonna be
He
okay.
turns and he just goes, "Oh, thank you." And he hugs you and he just says, "It's just, he was my best friend, And like,
Everything's gonna be okay.
not crying, but like really sad.
I'm Batman.
Oh, Lord Batman!
It's pronounced Batman. Batman.
He just says, "You really threw me off. You're kind of scary back there, but I appreciate you getting me away from the crowd to talk. Jasper was just such a good boy." And he goes on and like tells you all about this dog, and you sit down and like kind of talk this guy through his grief about this dog. And at the end of it, he thanks you, and you feel like you've eased this person's burden in a way that you haven't done for a lot of people since your time with the Tearful Dove. It's actually very cathartic, and in a lot of ways, you feel a sense of relief that is almost like regaining memories. But no problem. What are the rest of you doing while Valis just like fixes people's lives?
I think
I would like to go ruin people's lives.
I think Minka would approach Cheshire and be like, "Okay, so I can cast illusionary terrain to set up the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to go over what you'd want it to look like for the performance?"
Make it look kind of like a little bit of everywhere we've been.
all at once.
And like
Pressure.
pieces.
You remember the clam chowder encounter.
Oh, God.
He's also thinking about like Minka's memories are also very skewed for certain things. Like while we were in the cavern, she was mostly thinking about like
Rocks.
the rocks, and then when we were underground fighting other things, she'd think about the giant bismuth rock, and then when she think about the ooze fight, the rocks the ooze are in, and then the lava.
This is the episode where like you're all about to go and perform and you think this is going to be the Battle of the Bards episode, but it's each person going, "No, this is how we did this." And you go and it's just Minka's version, all rocks. Alina's version, all combat. Billy's version, all fighting in that one Jack statue from like the Sunder's Mansion. But like that's most of all the memories.
Fighting a bunch of guys.
It's just different for each person. And then 30 minutes has gone by. The episode ends. Battle of the Bards starts next. Yeah.
Can I add one more thing to while I'm helping people?
Sure.
So I'm gonna keep saying the same thing to a lot of people as they share their grief with me.
Okay.
And the thing I'm gonna say in my best impression of the Billy voice is, thank you. This is thank you.
No. It's for hagginess. You want to be less haggy when you're helping people with their grief.
Thank you. This is how I have dealt with my grief. I hope you find yours one day. And I keep saying that over and over. And at one point, and Billy keeps hearing it. At one point, Billy just turns and sees that after I say it, I take a look at Billy. And I go back to the crowd.
Okay. Billy, you get a little bit of advice that you didn't want. And as like they say that, as Valis looks at you in that moment, the person next to them goes, "It was just sourdough starch." I'm sure I will find some more again. But like that kind of blurs out as like very meaningfully that was towards you. It almost didn't fit this particular situation, but Valis still just like, and that almost makes it kind of sting worse. This is very much directed.
Julian, what's the name of my sourdough?
No problem. You comfort these people, and perhaps your friends as well, just a little bit.
I would like to try and find the awesome choir before the performance.
Before you leave, Minka's gonna be like, Ori.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, not Minka too.
I know.
You put your hands on it, and you can't help but realize like the cheekbones, they almost cut you. It's like slashing. They're so sharp.
There's
something
just
wrong,
enough
Minka.
stubble.
Cheshire wants the stage to look like everywhere we've been, but I know that when I look at places, I don't see the same things that everyone else sees. Can you tell me one or two important features of landscapes we've been on so I can make it look a little bit less like a cave?
Certainly. Why don't I tell you on the way over?
Okay.
Billy
One
wants
Sorkin later.
Billy wants to in that time like run through like different alter self, disguise self, mirror images that they could do together to like create more performers.
Okay. Absolutely. And what do you end up coming up with?
We will come up with something
Okay.
for next week.
So you start to think about this as you kind of walk over. And where are you walking?
Towards the next venue.
Okay. Just pull up Petrichor here.
Unless we are doing it
And as I leave, I'm going to be like,
together.
"Thank you, everyone. I hope to see you all at the next performance."
Oh man. Okay. So you say that absolutely no problem for free.
We've been on a ship. We've been on
As you
another
do
ship.
that, there is
I don't
this
have
kind of
all
just
the
like
songs, so-
tremendous just and people rush over to Ori, and you guys are all again kind of like mobbed. You do lose like 5-10 minutes in that sort of interaction as you have to shake hands. And again, Valis, you start hearing people come up to you and they just say, "After I got sick, I lost my sense of taste, and I really just, I couldn't come to terms with it, but your song." And like just all these people talking to you about different kinds of loss and how the song as Billy really affected them. And 10 minutes later, you make your way through the hall and into the courtyard proper. And across the courtyard, you can see people like making their way through where there are like beverages being sold. You can smell, here is where much of the food smells are coming from. There are people selling all manner of food and alcohol off to the side. And you can see that off to the left, Ori, you shudder for just a moment. Because there are tapestries that have been painted with the names of each of your groups. And you can see the Wandering Hearts nearly sold out. You guys doing quite well in the first round. In fact, were you to look at the number of banners that have been sold out, you are the second best performance of this entire group. The Choir of Austin seems to have done better. There is a single tapestry that is up. They are one away from selling out completely. But your group only has 3. You can see the Aldwin Sinks has 5 remaining.
I buy the last one.
All right, you walk over. There is a
last one of
satyr.
the
And there's
other
kind of sitting there.
I buy all of them.
Looks
Like
at
one
her.
of each?
Yeah.
Oh, you need a new collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy there is just like, yeah, if you want the whole set, yeah, I can give you 3 silver, no problem.
Billy like sees that Ballas is still Billy and like runs over. Is like, no.
Oh.
You don't want it? There's one left of this one, so.
We'll take the lot.
I'll buy it for her.
You can see he just says, the gentleman always is allowed to pay. And just kind of says, thank you, sir. And goes and gives you some money, and no problem. You can add 4 of these tapestries, one with each of the group's names on them. You have bought the very last one that you can buy for the Austin Law Choir. You have a Wandering Hearts tapestry that is now, it has nothing that like is Wandering Hearts specific for its imagery or anything. It just says the Wandering Hearts, but you have that now.
Would want to hold it up during the performance and just go like.
You certainly could. And as you make your way through this space, past like the sort of vendors and people who are excited to see you, and you enter into the kind of like stone space, you can see there are people who have these like tapestries and they're holding them up. Absolutely. Some people have elected to like attach them to the seats behind them so that they kind of hang behind them. Very much like banners, almost like we do on Thursday night. You can see some people have created their own sort of things. And I would say, given the relative levels of fame, none of you really see your own faces kind of out here, but you do see the sigil of the Treaty of Four Seasons here and there in rough approximation. Not quite perfect, but most have the general gist of what your seal looks like. You do have a few fans amongst this group. And then, Alina, you see off in the corner all of the members of Thornhome who have made this way, not just the people who had come to see Cora. You see literally everyone. Give me 1 second here.
Do we kill the Awesome Lot Choir?
What? What?
You see the Huntmaster, Elred Letter Whistle,
No,
who
we
is
don't.
surrounded by other people. You see all 3 of the furbolgs. You see Orange, you see Ackle. You can see a satyr that you know, they have kind of like a crusty ponytail that's never quite clean, named Carlmut, who works alongside Orange. You see a human woman with bushy blonde hair, twigs kind of stuck in it in a way not dissimilar to Billy, though there's a little bit less kind of like fae-oriented and a little bit more doesn't shower often. You know this true of an individual named Soft Freyal. They are one of the people that works on the Stargrass farm, and so they're busy quite often. You see the individual who you've never seen off of their old wooden rocking chair, the first time that you've ever seen them in a different seat, the ancient turtle, Bobo Kamojo, who typically is sitting there with their chipped and marred shell, just kind of outside in the rocking chair. They have made the journey all the way here to support you. You see a halfling named Jamberry Brightnose, blonde hair parted straight down the middle, gentle wave that goes off over the bangs. They typically serve like a delicious stew out of the Squeaky Footrest Inn, but they have closed the inn to come here, and on their shoulders, on their arms, you can see they kind of swat as like several of the fairies that make their home amongst these sort of branches there are also here. Many of them actually they're pixies. You can see holding like little swords and things like that. They're still armed. You can see Agave sitting on the other side of the fairies. You see an Owlin, very short, R. Wilton, who runs the Soot Brew House and brews these sort of like really charred Marzen-style beers. They make a campfire bock that Billy especially likes. You can see the entirety of the Veniadre Pixie Clan has made their way here, so about 13 pixies. You see an elf that you know is named Clersharika Elmward, who has this 3-strand lace braid that forms a circuit that is like curled up, and they have shoved a tapestry kind of erect up in their hair that says Wandering Hearts, and then beneath that in bright green paint still dripping down, Alina, and it's just 2 A's. But they're, doing their best. You see another individual who, as far as you know, has never left Thornhome before. You see, taking up 3 seats because their branches and hair is kind of spread out, Rosemary, who is a dryad that typically takes on the form of a rosemary bush within the hot springs and gives them like a very distinctive kind of smell and effect. She is actually clothed and in the crowd here. You see the centaur, Ocardus the Grower. You see the old satyr, Init Grand. The druid who wanders the local wood has been called in and is here as well. You see another satyr, Gil Warren, or Gil the Kill Saddlemirth, who runs the Ironwood Gym. Literally every citizen of Thornhome is here.
Everyone I know.
You see Cor sitting back there, just brightly chewing on a haunch of meat. Everybody.
I'm gonna head over there and say hello while everybody else is doing stuff.
You make your way over, and there's just loud cheers. You get a bright reception from people. Colered goes up and goes, "Oh, Alina, my dear, come on over, come on over. I said I'd bring everyone, and I did."
You really didn't have to.
And you can just hear, "Hi, Alina, hi, Alina, hi, Alina, hi, Alina, hi, Alina," and everybody says there. And then Colered goes, "And Billy," and like points over to Valis. And Valis, you see this old satyr pointing to you, and there is just like maybe 40 people in the stands who all just wave over to you, and you just hear, "Hi, Billy, Billy, Billy."
I turn to look at Billy.
Touch, and as she touches, it like transfers it over.
Everybody laughs. The whole corner of the stadium laughs, and all the attention here, people are filtering in. Everybody turns to look. This is now the spectacle that's happening. You're that group at the arena prior to the game. But definitely causing a little bit of a commotion. Here in the rain, everybody has little sort of almost pseudo umbrellas that have been made from bits of bark and sort of elements of moss, but they all kind of gather around Alina, and people embrace you. You are hugged. People are excited to see you.
Cheshire can't help it, but is putting on a show with this as well. Just to kind of make it look bigger, make us look bigger.
Sure, yeah. How are you doing that?
Or he's just
Minor
existing.
illusion, dancing lights.
Okay. Lights go
Singing.
all around you, and you can see the turtle kind of looks up. You barely see eyes peeking out from these ancient kind of scaled face, but he kind of chews on his own lip and then points one of these turtle fingers up at the lights and goes, "Sinus or Nunos." And everybody kind of nods. Whoa, oh my God. People people reach out, and Colerid says, yes, it's true. Alina is a chosen one.
Yo, God's here.
And they kind of nod. People are awestruck by you here.
I'm just giving hugs and stuff and trying to be humble.
Nah, I'm not Jesus.
No problem.
You've heard that part in Matrix 2 where they get to the human city and all the people are like, Neo, you're Jesus. And he's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
That's what,
No problem. You try your best.
No, it's before the orgy.
The elder of the Vinaldry clan kind of comes through, and they're just like, "Alina, you've always been our favorite. We bestow upon you our clan ring." And they gesture, and there's this tiny little filigreed, incredibly thin. It's 8 different bands of steel that have all been just slowly carved away by these tiny hands to create 8 individual bands that all kind of wrap around each other, and they fit perfectly around your finger. He says, "We've sized it just for you," and they kind of get shoved aside by Orange, who has this big bottle of mead, and he goes, "Hey, Alina, I made this for you. It's special. It's got lots of stargrass. We all got together and kind of made it. I wouldn't have it before you perform.
No, but
But
thank
after
you.
you
This
win."
maybe we can celebrate with it together.
He smiles. You hear he turns and goes, "Hey, everybody. Alina said we can party together." And there is just loud cheers. And 1 or 2 people who are not part of the Thornhome group kind of slide into the group now. And you're this is now a high school party where people are like, "Hey, party at Alina's." And you get the sense there will be more than just Thornhome here.
Yeah, yeah. And Alina's like, drinks on me!
Much louder cheers. 4 or 5 people now kind of join into this group. Absolutely. Yeah, you are gathering.
As long as we win.
But no problem.
Yeah, I think Alina maybe didn't realize how homesick she had been, so she's just kind of like enjoying seeing people, and she's not laying into like, I am God. Yes, very good. She's just trying to downplay it and just like she just wants to party with everybody.
No problem. And Orange, after turning and saying that, turns and like puts an arm around your shoulders and says, Alina, when are you coming back to Thornholm? We miss you. And there's all kinds of adventures we could go on there.
Oh yeah, I miss you guys too. I don't really know when I'll be home. I mean, 3 years hasn't been up, and you know, we're kind of doing some quests. I've got some people I'm helping, so but I'll be home eventually.
Well, if we can ever help you, Alina, just tell us. All of Thornholm will be here.
Yeah, thanks.
You're doing great things for Sir Nunos.
Mm-hmm.
He nods, and you are surrounded by people who love and care about you. And you have a very strong presence in this arena, now more than ever, with the dancing lights and the promise of free drinks, certainly.
Hell yeah.
There is probably about an hour until you perform. What are you all doing here within the rainy kind of arena?
Any sign of the Awesome Lock Choir?
Make a perception check.
Ori's gonna murder them.
I want to try to size
Just
them
one
up.
of them.
17.
With the 17, you look around, and sure enough, off close to where the stage is near the center of this space, you can see at least 4 people who all are dressed in this awesome lock-like attire.
I would like to try to approach them.
Okay. You approach them. They don't run. They're not skittish.
Also,
You can see they all just start standing really upright. Their hands go up in the air. And then they start galloping off. And it turns out that the Ocelot was just deer, and people disguise this. But no problem. You approach them. You can see all 4 of them turn to regard you. They have these hoods drawn up, and the hoods seem to almost just shed water away. It doesn't stick to the cloth or permeate it in any meaningful way. It just runs down and falls at the ground at their feet. What are you doing?
Good afternoon.
Good start. Good start.
The callback. Let me think about what music to put on.
Do you have like
Do I ever? I used to actually have a clown playlist, but I no longer have that.
Dang, I still do, but I used to.
I used to. With a bright and cheery disposition, you approach the Choir of Awesome. Give me 1 second here. Let me pull up my Choir of Awesome. And you can see the individual who is an elf with white hair and fair skin kind of like steps backwards, and the individual who is the tallest of the quartet steps forwards. This magical coat kind of flutters around their shoulders, seems to almost kind of like seal against the rain. They kind of bow towards you. The mouth opens, and they're very quiet, but the voice is low, and they say, yes.
Good afternoon.
It is barely afternoon. What can I do for you?
Well, I was going to say that I hope that we can have a good performance together.
He steps across the ground, and you can see the right foot plants, and he just pushes, and then he just glides. An inch off the ground, just floats over, not touching the rain, keeping his boots dry now, and just kind of floats. And he's tall. He's probably like 6'8" naturally, so already kind of standing taller than you, but now like towering above you. And he looks down at you, and he says, "We have no intent to kill you. You will go down nobly, I assure you."
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
You're brimming with false confidence.
No, I just trust that my compatriots have prepared a wonderful performance for us all.
Just because the fish does not know it swims through water does not make it any less wet.
And just because someone says lots of words very florally and prettily does not make them smarter or better than the other people around them. No matter how much they float above, everyone will be in the ground someday.
Make an intimidation check.
Yeah, but...
Yeah, I do.
I think you killed Tina.
Did we get a short rest by sitting and watching performances?
You have not.
I would think
If
we
you
do
would
still
like
have
to, though,
a
you still
wheel.
have time.
Okay.
21.
I would like to.
Really a short resting.
Yeah, you sit down. You begin to rest actively. With a 21, you lean forward. You say, I wouldn't be so sure about that. And you see the eyes kind of break away for just a moment. They flick over behind them to make sure the rest of them are like still there. You certainly get a little bit under their skin, but they're not easy to like show that. They do a pretty good job of recovering.
But I notice.
But you definitely notice. And he says, I am confident that you'll rise to the worth of your substance.
I
And he
intend to
turns,
exceed that.
and he returns to his group.
It's not the dig you think that is.
I'm awesome.
So they make their way back to the group. You feel as if you've at least intimidated that individual. But make an insight check.
Damn, easy come, easy go, I think. 13.
13. But that's all that you can tell from that interaction.
Damn, that's crazy.
Damn, my passive insight, though.
Your passive insight. With your passive insight, this dude thinks you're a dick. Anything else, folks, before we kind of fast forward to the next round?
Yeah, so I think Pinko would take some time looking at the stage, and then so we take up half the stage.
No, so there's more room than like. So the stage is just a little bit bigger than this.
Yep.
You take up probably about a quarter of it, maybe a little less. There's enough room, and then there's room around the stage as well, like sand. From a meta perspective, if you remember this game called Greater Than Greed, or not Greater Than Greed, Axe, Wolf, and Woe, we had an arena, probably similar dimensions to that that are kind of around the stage proper.
Okay.
And so,
damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, because Hallucinatory Terrain covers 150 feet.
Some sort
so
of
you could cover the
Colosseum-like
entirety
structure?
of the
What?
performance space and the space that is around it.
Okay,
We might
so
have to kill him.
Minka's gonna call Cheshire over and just kind of like sketch out her plan of
Non-lethally.
doing like essentially slices at different places,
Okay.
starting on one side with a volcano that has a crashed ship kind of on top of it, which then transitions into kind of the forests with an emerald spire behind it, which then will transition into a much spookier forest with like ominous mist that kind of flows out to it, and then that kind of gray will kind
Volcano burst. Volcano burst.
Yeah. The gray area will kind of like transition into like the underground and like having some elements that are like deep and dark and creepy and kind of like those like touches of the shadows that we've had, and then as it like swoops around the side become more crystalline and transition into like actual like crystal structures.
Okay.
And then she'd want to have the ground that we stand on actually look like the ocean, and then as it like falls towards the front of the stage and kind of goes towards the audience, like transition to deep starlight.
Okay. Very cool.
And they're like, do you want, so should we, I can take up this whole space. Should we just plunge the other guys into darkness over there and like have them be like the scary people, or should we just leave them alone?
We should be on guard. They intend to hurt us.
Through no fault of my own.
Well, they had intended to hurt us before.
Just leave them alone.
Okay. So Minka's gonna
They're
try
not going to leave us
cast that
alone.
hallucinatory terrain.
Okay.
Leaving like
How long does
dominating
hallucinatory terrain last?
24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, it just exists. People
Sure.
can see through it with a investigation check, I believe.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just the aesthetics. So it can also create smells. So I think
It's 40.
Make it smell like the other group.
You can make it smell vaguely
lot.
like the areas, except that when we get to the darker areas,
From the
it'll
crowd,
smell
you hear,
nicer.
I can smell farts and I can tell it was the choir of awesome.
The entire time,
The spell
they're
text says so.
performing- sulfur.
what else?
Just sulfur smell emanating from them.
So, let's see.
That's the verbal
So
component
it's
of
an
reading
it's an
spells.
investigation check to see through it.
Yeah,
Yes,
you
look,
can.
sound, and smell like some other natural terrains. So like, I think if there's gonna be any smell, it would probably be like crisp mountain air.
Okay. No
So-
problem.
Babbling brook.
You press this out, the illusion kind of rolls across the field. You can hear people like exclaiming suddenly from like the kind of idle chatter. There are like kind of shouts and exclamations of excitement, and the terrain kind of shifts and forms. And suddenly you are now standing amidst this beautiful kind of unrolling, shifting landscape, exactly as you described. And it smells like crisp mountain air.
Good job, Minka.
Okay.
I have a thought.
Yes?
Minka, do you have some chalk?
Yes, of course.
I'm going to take
The
some
texture
chalk.
of the ground is just not quite right.
I'm going to take some chalk,
Sure.
and I'm going to, if I can get up on, we can like go onto the stage
Yeah.
beforehand, right?
The choir of Austin is standing on the stage.
So I'm just gonna go over to the stage and start drawing on the stage in chalk to make it look like I'm doing some sort of like magical, like arcane sigils or something. But really, I'm just like marking spots on the stage for us to stand and
Okay,
stuff.
no problem.
To try and
there's a
intimidate them.
moment where they look at you and you get the sense immediately these
They don't
like
know that. Like they know that.
very learned wizards who are from probably the most foremost like
Yeah, I'm marking the stage.
They rolled a 1.
they certainly know that this is not magic that you are doing. You do
Yeah,
not know
spike
magic.
tape.
No, of course.
They're watching like a little kid
Just like marking the stage.
put plates that are like colored green as landmines like down on the stage. You're cosplaying magic at them right now. They know.
Maybe
At
they'll
like
try
30
this
minutes
hard.
to curtain, I'll leave the Thornhomites behind and come back to the group. See what everybody Yeah.
Yeah.
30 minutes to
Fun
curtain
scenes.
rolls around. You kind of like bid your adieus to everybody, and you make your way over to the illusionary terrain. And from where you are and from where they all are, you have to make your way through this spooky, misty forest that is very familiar to you. You kind of turn. You're like, okay, I'll see you soon. And it's like like a little bit of post-traumatic stress kind of sinks in. You remember being here and walking and the forest kind of shifting around you and not knowing your way. And you take your first steps, you like move the tree to the side, another tree, you're like, fuck. And you move the tree, and then you see Minka. And you see everybody else, and like you see everything is normal.
Jesus, that's good work, Minka. Who's Jesus? I don't know.
So 10 minutes before, I would once again cast Enhance ability, but this time at the 6th level, so I can get
Okay.
one more person. So I would be myself, Alina, Billy, Alice, and which one of you would like the final advantage?
If it's for performance, he gets that anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
you
get
Is it just
advantage on-
performance or just charisma?
It's on
All
charisma
charisma?
checks.
Okay,
Oh,
so
charisma.
it's
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
so yeah, Cheshire gets it.
All performance checks.
Okay, perfect.
So you aren't sure who to give this last spot to, but you look at Ori, witheringly handsome. You saw like there was a point where as you walked in, there's like a puddle, and there was people who just laid down in the puddle. Like, they asked for Ori to walk across their backs, and Ori was like, no, and like kind of walked around them. But, like you, unless you want to walk on them, you can. They probably don't need the help.
Yeah.
So you cast it on Cheshire. You cast Enhance ability. Is anybody else casting or doing anything in preparation aside from the illusionary terrain?
Did we get our short
rest?
Billy, you can mark off a short rest.
Fuck yeah!
Is it still raining?
It is still actively raining.
Tony
Okay,
Bardic to
so-
all of you.
Oh, thanks.
Do we see Silafer and Vanessa?
You do. As it gets to 10 minutes to curtain, you see Silafer. You do not see Venestra. You do hear some kind of up there, and there is a third empty seat between the two of them.
Does that mean that she is in position to provide the rain cover that
make an eye for detail or an eye for deception? I can't remember what it
eye
is.
for detail.
Eye for
ear
detail.
for deceit. Dirty 20.
Tongue poison.
With a dirty 20 is you look around, you don't see this person. What you do know that was not here before. There was almost no plant life. Minka had really looked. You see a thin little olive tree that is sprouting off in the distance. It has no foliage, and so with the sort of lack of leaves, it almost looks naked. And then you realize it's not a tree. That is Venestra. That is the Oak Princess, who is in position to probably do something to stop the rain once the performance starts, at least for all of you. They're not doing anything yet. Make an insight check.
13 again. Damn.
They're just not on their game, I guess.
Alina is going to say to Rez, okay, so just in case the rain doesn't stop over the whole arena during the performance, what I want you to do, since Valis's instrument is really the only one that I think, I want you to go and hold a bit of cloak or something over Valis's viol so that he can play it without it getting wet.
You want me to be a tarp for Valis?
I mean, look at that guy. He's so pathetic. He's so weird. He needs someone like you to help him.
It was pretty cool when he was Billy. All right.
Look, it's just a contingency plan.
Yeah, I'm in position. But he's not happy about it, you can tell.
Love you, buddy.
Oh, I love you too.
Here's some chocolate.
He just immediately flies over for everybody. You don't see Rez, but you see Alina rock back and forth as Rez slams into her. No problem. There's only minutes left until the performance starts, and you see entering the arena to a little bit of applause, Linus, this individual who is the announcer. They stride with purpose towards the stage, and you know that this second round is about to begin. But because it is about to be 10 o'clock, and a great place to stop, this is where we're going to end for the evening. I also ran out of space to build a third large map because Fallout on Sunday. So perfect timing for me to break this down, build something new. Thank you for joining us for this session of Courts of Everest. You can join us next week right here at Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the next session. If you can't wait that long, really fucking good news, guys. I'm going to make it more intense every time. It was accidentally really intense the first time.
Good fucking news.
Good fucking news. All right, Sunday. We're going to be playing Fallout, Blackhearted Texas, Session 2. Many of us will be there. All of us going to be joining us as we jump into this original story told using Modifius's 2D20 Fallout system. That is at Sunday at noon. But please stay safe. It is wild out there. We'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye.